How would you react if you looked at your phone and in an instant learned that your career and everything you've worked towards in your life?
Oh my god, I was muted. Oh my god. No. Okay, so we got WoW, we got videos to react to, big cup of ramen. Not sure what we're doing, but we're chatting. We're just relaxing this stream. Nothing super planned. We'll see where we go.
Is probably gone as a result of your own alleged action.
Yeah, here we go.
How would you react if you looked at your phone and in an instant learned that your career and everything you've worked towards in your life is probably gone as a result of your own alleged actions? For one man, this moment was caught live on camera and broadcast to tens of thousands of people. It's December 16th, 2022 at the Erupt Gaming Lounge in Bern, Switzerland. Echo Esports, who fields one of the most competitive teams on Earth for World of Warcraft, are competing in a race to be the first to beat a new part of the game. They've brought in top talent to cast this high-profile event, attracting over 75,000 concurrent viewers.
I don't remember this being streamed. I'm just gonna say that.
During the most exciting parts of the stream. One of the casters is Rich Campbell. He's a fan favorite and has been casting for over 7 years. He's well known for his over-the-top commentary and being a founder of the biggest organization in streaming, OTK. But today, something is off with Rich. Observant viewers notice that he's been checking his phone a lot. At one point, Rich looks like he's seen a ghost. What no one in the room knew at the time was that Rich just saw some serious allegations had been levied against him and posted online. This was the exact moment that Rich knew his career was over. The story of how Rich got to this precise point in his life is nothing short of unbelievable. The only way to understand how Rich's career ends is to understand how it began. Rich grew up in Atlantic City in the 90s. He wanted to be outside and play as a kid, but his mom was worried about him getting into trouble or being a victim of crime in the city. In Rich's own words, it sucked out there. Rich's grandpa had a solution. He was the first person in the family to own a computer, and he helped Rich set up his first computer game, The Land Before Time. Then in November of 2000,
Bro, I love those movies. I think everyone, any kid who watched them would love them. I mean, maybe not nowadays. They are like 20 years younger than me, though. Honestly, I can't remember the plot of any of these. I just remember there was a Triceratops and the long-necked dinosaur. And then they have like a pet bird or a little flying dinosaur pet thing. Look. I haven't watched this stuff since I was like 5. That's like 16 years ago, guys.
2004, a game was released that Rich ended up falling in love with, World of Warcraft. Rich no doubt
Bro, I love that game.
loved the expansive world building and stories within the game, giving him countless hours of escapism where he could make new friends from the comfort of his bedroom. But Rich couldn't stay there for long. When Rich graduated from high school, it was time for him to go to college, and he got into a pre-med program at NYU. This is a prestigious university in New York City and costs a small fortune to enroll for a year, but it worked out because Rich's parents were supporting him financially to get through school. Once classes started, Rich made a friend named Ethan. Ethan sat behind Rich in philosophy class where Rich would play WoW on his laptop during each lecture and Ethan would watch. The two would talk about the game and it gave them something to do during the mind-numbing lectures. This continued until Rich's parents fell on hard times. So hard that their house was foreclosed on by the bank. Rich's parents weren't.
Okay, so this is around the same time. The Burning Crusade is wrapping up. The Wrath of the Lich King is coming about. Alright, it's a good year.
Alone. Approximately 1 in every 54 homes in America received a foreclosure notice that year, and 2.6 million Americans
That is a lot of jobs lost. Maybe it wasn't a good year.
lost their jobs. The entire financial system was on the brink of collapse. Today, we know this as the Great Recession of 2008. To Rich, it meant that
Okay, I guess it wasn't a good year.
he couldn't afford school anymore or even a place to live. In the blink of an eye, he had gone from a promising pre-med student to a dropout living on the streets of New York. Rich's future didn't exactly look bright, but even though it was a rough time, he pressed on.
Who holds a pizza like that?
He ate donuts and pizza that shops threw away, and he described
Whatever it takes to survive, fair. But why would you hold a pizza like that? Oh my god.
this is a pretty formative time in his life. This went on for a couple years until Rich got a job with a new company called Instacart. All he had to do was buy groceries for people through the app and deliver them, and they paid him $40 an hour for this. He did this full time and spent all his free time during the day teaching himself programming, watching streams, and learning as much as he could. He was able to re-enroll at NYU and decided instead of the medical field, he wanted to go back to the hobby that had brought him so much happiness as a child. He studied computer science and creative writing. Rich wanted to make video games. This gave Rich access to NYU's Game Center, a cutting-edge department that offered development tools, workspace, and collaboration. A lot of times this collaboration looked like Rich challenging the other students in the Game Center to matches of StarCraft. Not long after re-enrolling, Rich decided that
I've never touched StarCraft. I have no comment. I don't plan to unless it has like an MMO. Or maybe like a Souls-like game, but I doubt. Actually, I mean, I don't know. I can see Blizzard doing a Souls-like game. Like, look, they're doing a survival game. We don't even know the name of it yet, but I'm hyped as hell for it. If we look, 7 minutes left. Oh my god, there's 6 minutes left, my dude. I don't have like any fireworks, especially since that is wooden beams above my head and vents. Yeah, we're not setting off fireworks in here. Firework here. Ta-da! Here. That is hot. We'll keep it at 1. You know, I think Blizzard could do a Souls-like game. They maybe even do it better than FromSoft. But, you know, my hopes for that is not high. I do hope that the survival game is going to be good, because let's look at their latest IP. Yeah, Overwatch. Yeah, fuck that. It was fun to watch for the first year or so. It was decent to play. Overwatch 2 is just not fun to play. That's my opinion, though. So if you have fun, that's on you. And I'm glad you are having fun if that's the case.
college might not be the best use of his time or money and dropped out. He started working on a mobile game, but it wasn't complete yet, nor was it making him any money. His once lucrative job with Instacart lowered his pay to $8 an hour. Rich knew he was going to be homeless again if he didn't make a choice. He could try to find another high-paying job, or a job that was going to help him meet his goals in life. One day when thinking about this question, Rich ran into his old friend Ethan on the street. Ethan said he was working at Major League Gaming, a professional and growing esports organization.
Oh my god, it's Luigi. Yeah, that's definitely Luigi. Got the mustache, got the hat. That you could look at that at a weird angle. It would probably look somewhat like a overall, yeah, Luigi checks out. By the way, it's 2023 here. Damn, we're not, dude. You're in the future? That's crazy. Sup, Shrexon? How you doing, my dude? Oh my god, 4 minutes left. Wait. Do I have toy box fire or? Oh yeah, here we go. All right. I'll be able to like. There we go. It's fine. There we go. Bop.
He told Rich he should come apply for a job. The next day at MLG's office, Rich showed up for his interview and thought he recognized the interviewer Will from somewhere. Most of the questions were to see if Rich...
Look, I know how time zones work, but you're in the future. That's what time zones means future and past at the same time. It's amazing, isn't it?
Rich had technical knowledge about how to produce videos or streams, and he answered honestly that he didn't know about any of that. At the end of the interview, Will said, "Didn't I play StarCraft against you at the Game Center?" Rich immediately remembered where he recognized Will from and said, "Yeah." Will replied, "You got the job." Rich loved the job so much that he would stay at the office all day and night learning new things. He often slept at the office, casted over VODs, and made videos that he knew would never see the light of day just to practice. He was completely in love with the work. He started to dream of being a caster. He had finally found a goal that he truly cared about.
Woo, caster! I don't think it's the same thing as what I'm doing now, but I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's just like the people that like talk during the game. Wait, where do you live? Central Standard Time.
Not long after Rich started his new job, Chris Puckett, a caster for MLG at the time,
Chris Puckett. Oh my god, reminds me of Sam Puckett.
walked into the room and said, "Does anyone know any local New York talent? I'm getting married and I need someone to cast the Rocket League Grand Finals." Rich said, "Chris, can I try it?" And Chris replied, "Yeah." Rich had never casted before, and now he was casting the Grand Finals of the Rocket League Tour at MLG. Rich was extremely nervous, but found comfort in the fact that he had a veteran caster, Benson, working alongside him.
Feel free to tweet out at me and Ben if you think anyone...
At Tinkerbell, at Benson_you.
My Twitter is at Rich W. Campbell, and yours is...
At Benson_you.
That's the Twitter. I am not named Tinkerbell.
From that moment on, Rich Campbell was a caster. Rich quickly found that there wasn't enough work since casting typically only happens for larger events, at least casting that can pay the bills. He started taking any work that any of the other casters didn't want to do. In fact, he would do just about anything for work. Rich started casting World of Warcraft events along with Call of Duty. Rich still loved talking about World of Warcraft and
It's Legion. Woo!
got an idea to start a podcast where he could do just that, co-hosted by his friend and streamer Hotted89. They called it Allcraft. Their first episode featured an up-and-coming World of Warcraft streamer called Asmongold. After they shot the first episode, Asmon said, "So what time next week, boys?" After inviting himself to co-host the podcast,
And that's why I like Asmongold. I don't watch his streams, but I can respect the man.
the three of them hit it off. Asmongold quickly became Rich's best friend. Asmon's stream really started to take off after this, and so did Rich's casting career. Rich got into a
No. It's almost time. Oh, then there's the vent. It's almost... Oh, shit. I touched that metal. That's a burn. It's now 2023. Let's go. Fireworks. Oh, those aren't purple. Oh, no, now they're purple. Okay. Fireworks. Let's go. Fireworks. Yay. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's go. Let's move that back up. I think there's good. No, I didn't. Oh my god. No, I forgot to shift it. No, shit. Okay, we'll just do it again. Fireworks, yay. Okay, after we kill this guy. Get out of my face, dude. Oh, we've already killed him. Alright, great. Fireworks, woo, yeah. Shiny. And then we got this thing heating up, and that'll be bright. Close enough to a firework. It uses metal, it uses heat. That's pretty much a firework. Alright, let's pop. Yes, Happy New Year to you too, Basti. I really hope I'm saying your name right. I wish nothing bad. Dude, honestly, 2022 was the worst year of my life, and I really hope that 2023 is at least a little bit better. Happy New Year, I'm not late, I swear. You're not, Nitro. You're not, oh my god, you're literally 1 minute late. No. No, Nitro. Oh well. You're still the second person I talked to this year. The first being Basti. Cherish this moment, Basti. I will cherish this moment with you. Unless I'm not the first person you talk to, then I'll just be sad.
Relentless weekly work schedule. Rich would cast Call of Duty every Tuesday in Ohio, and then stream for as long as he could after the cast was over without sleeping. Then Wednesday early in the morning, he would get on a plane to Las Vegas, sleep.
Dedication, and I wish I had that, but I just get so physically and emotionally tired after work.
On the plane, and then when the plane landed, immediately go cast H1Z1 for the H1Z1 League. Then he would get back on another plane, sleep on the flight back to Ohio, and cast Call of Duty again. Thursday, he would leave casting half an hour early. Benson would close the show while Rich went to record that week's episode of Allcraft with Hotted and Asmongold. After Allcraft, Rich would stream as long as he possibly could without sleeping again. Friday, he would sleep. Saturday and Sunday, Rich casted World of Warcraft, and Monday, he would go back to New York City and do his job for MLG, making weekly videos and content. Gradually, Rich started making connections in the gaming.
It was very fast. I don't know. It started off fine, but then like family issues, and then I started having health issues right after I turned 21. And then as I'm going back to work, I'm told my grandmother dies. It wasn't the one I was close to, but like I threw up because of that. It was like, yeah, nope, that's definitely affecting my physical health. And like physical health is still bad. It's definitely doing better, but oh my god, it was stressful. And while I was off work for my 3 months, the plant was announced that it's closing down. Yay. Alright, 2023 can't really be bad though. Jobs already closing down. Maybe another place is gonna like buy it, hire the big maybes here, and you know, like just transition the current workers over to them. Huge maybe there, but like if it does, that is a pay increase. Because like only right now one company is like interested in the plant. But anyways, back to the important stuff of
gaming industry and getting paid directly from Blizzard, the company that made World of Warcraft, who recognized the value in having a consistent caster that viewers liked. Rich also started to get invited to host larger events like the South by Southwest Gaming Awards in 2018. South by Southwest is an annual convention that happens to take place in Austin, Texas, where Asmongold lived at the time. The night after Rich got done hosting the event, Asmon invited Rich to go to dinner with him. While there, Asmon brought his friend Esfand. Esfand and Rich hit it off that night, and Esfand became one of Rich's best friends. Esfand didn't stream on Twitch yet, and Asmon had only just recently gotten his sub button. The trio couldn't have guessed how fast all of their lives were about to change. Within a year, Asmon was averaging 20,000 viewers on Twitch, Esfand started streaming and was pulling 2,000 to 3,000 viewers and growing, and Rich was casting some of the biggest esports.
Me waiting for the FNAF movie. Yeet, what up, Billness Daddy? What the fuck? That's a name. Dude, then Chris, okay, Thanksgiving we went to a buffet. Buffet was like, everything was cold, even like after, when it was fresh, it was still cold. Like, damn, why was it waiting so long to be put out? Christmas, like every year we've had like breakfast. We didn't have breakfast this year, we had dinner. It was good dinner, it was just pretty much everything we missed from Thanksgiving though. And because we had dinner, we couldn't go watch Avatar 2. It is one of the names of all. It is one of the names of all time. Yep, that's true. that makes everything actually way better. We couldn't watch Avatar 2 because there was like turkey and stuff in the oven, so like had to stay home. So I don't know. Christmas was fun. Had a Christmas stream. I think I had a Christmas stream. I'm pretty sure I had a Christmas stream. Oh, and overall, like, there were some really good parts of the year. There were some really bad, like, really bad parts of the year. Daddy. No, just kidding. Like, this year, since, I think it was last year, no, it was 2 years ago now. Damn. Okay. No. Oh yeah, Risk of Rain 2 had its DLC. That was fun. I loved that. There's also Dragonflight that came out, but like these are just games and not really like life stuff. Anyways, they're like 2022, really fun. Tried alcohol. Don't like alcohol. Yeah. Like I thought I was going to be like, ooh my god, this is amazing. No, I hate it. Like, I have a really addictive personality. Anyways, we got off topic. The year's been shite, but it was also a lot of fun. I streamed a lot. We're at like 91 subscribers. Let me double check. We're at 91 subscribers. That's great. We were at like 27 at the start of the year. That is insane growth, in my opinion. Like, it's not like crazy like some other people, but like, I'm proud of that. Do you watch We're not doing a Matt Pat here, my dude. No. Alright, let's get back to the video.
Events in the world. Along with Rich's increased profile came greater scrutiny. Rich was an outspoken critic of new changes Blizzard was making to World of Warcraft, which created some friction between him and the company. If he was just a streamer, this might not be a huge deal, but he was on Blizzard's payroll, and to many, he was the face of the company at most of their large events. One clip in particular caught Blizzard's attention in a bad way.
Take a break, Richard? You realize I was in a great mood? And I played the game for 5 minutes and I'm here. I don't need a break. I need to uninstall WoW. This is a game made for anyone who's playing. Look at you, idiot! Look at you idiot! Why are you playing this game?
He's getting so red. 7 subs left. You right, Basti. I was planning on trying to really 9 yen. 9. Said, oh my god, you weren't right. I mean, you are now. Oh my god, I am tired. Oh well, it's fine. We'll stream for a few more hours. No, I was planning oh yeah, at the start of this month, if I pushed real hard, we could get those 100 subs. Obviously we did not hit those 100 subs before the end of the year, which kind of sucky. It's whatever though. It's whatever. We have plenty of time. I do have Filmora now, just for whenever at this point it's whenever I get time. But I do want to work towards my Minecraft Hardcore series. Get that 100 days out of the way. The sooner that is out of the way, that video is up, we can start doing more streams of hardcore like this, and then I can just edit down the video. And
You dumb shit! You.
he's so red. No, yeah, I skipped Battle for Azeroth. I couldn't even get to max level with it. It's just,
Moron sheets! You f***ing idiots! You dumb. Why are you playing this f***ing shit? You f***ing morons running around like ants in Bobby Kodak's maze!
In early July 2020, Rich
Bobby Kodak's maze. Which, fair. No more commentating. Here is what's next.
posted a video on his YouTube channel called No More Commentating, Here's What's Next.
There was a period in time where if you went on the World of Warcraft Twitch channel and you randomly scrolled through, chances were you might bump into me. And to call that an honor doesn't even do it justice. I mean, it was a dream come true.
By the way, Why You're Famous video is kind of... Wait, what do you mean Why You're Famous? I haven't done a Why You're Famous video. Man knew what he was doing. Yeah, I don't know. The dude definitely knew what he was doing. That said, WoW does instigate very powerful emotions, especially when you've played it for so long. Ooh, Shadowlands had me pissed. Even some things in Dragonflight, story-wise, just really pisses me off. Ysera coming back from the death and Malfurion taking her place. And they're like, oh, but, Ysera saved him. The bull fucking shit she did. She flew in, got corrupted, and then we had to put her down because she was a bad dog. Your video with 3K views? No, that's not why I'm famous, my dude. Also, it's supposed to be sus, but if you watched it, it should not be sus at all. It is literally just me talking how I have issues with some YouTube stuff, because they definitely do have bias towards some creators and not and then bias against other creators. Which, fair, you expect that to some extent, but it should not be punishing other people in such a way. If anything, everyone should be treated equally. Maybe push algorithmically more family or not family oriented, but family entertainment suited, so anyone in the family could enjoy it. So yeah, the thumbnail's supposed to be sus. I've thought about doing another video like that. I'm not sure like what I'd talk about, but I do want to push that because like that is like by far the video that has the most views on my channel, and like, ooh, I like seeing, dude. That week I was so fucking happy because I just watching go up. It got 100 views. Like, oh my god, this is the first time I got 100 views. It got 200 views. Oh my fucking god. It got over 1,000. It stopped like at 1.7 thousand in the first month, and then it's still slowly climbing. Like, half my views overall come from that video every day. Or every month, my bad, not every day. It is insane. Like, it's still climbing. It's just I don't get anything other than like a little bit of a view from it. We keep getting distracted.
Rich had been fired, but this wasn't the end of Rich's time in the public spotlight.
I guess after what, 6 years of being a commentator, I'm not one anymore. Pull that band-aid off. I guess I'm a streamer now.
I'm a streamer now.
Which also
Same
means I'm now
things.
kind of an idiot. Streamers are so dumb.
3,000 views is a lot. Like, you gotta think, that is like everyone living their own lives, and there's over 3,000 people that clicked on my video, and our paths are now connected, at least to a very small amount, but they are connected, and that is insane to me. Even more so for the 91 people who have subscribed. It is crazy. A lot of the big people see like these as just numbers, but if you look at it like at a more realistic viewpoint, which to them I guess realistic is just look at them at numbers, or it's going to give you anxiety, or it can mind fuck you. It is crazy to think about it. But like even like my little numbers are huge. I can't even count to 91 on like my fingers, at my toes. Like that's at least 10. But I definitely ain't no 91.
To support his move to becoming a full-time streamer, Rich moved to Austin. The city had a growing group of streamers at the time, and most of Twitch's biggest personalities lived there. But most of all, it would let Rich be close to his friends Asmongold and S-Fans. With much less casting and hosting in his life, Rich had time to really lean into streaming. But just living in the same town as his friends wasn't enough for Rich. In October, Rich, Asmongold, S-Fan, and their friends Tips Out and Mizkif made a huge announcement.
Originally, it was
It sounds like there's a lot of bad things that happen in this group. And I really hope that Asmongold does not have one of those bad things just come out or is like resurfaced. But like if it does, well then he probably deserved it, right?
It was just really Rich and I. We had been doing Allcraft at that time for a couple of years together, and we become really good friends. And we wanted to do something more that gave us the opportunity to hang out more and also to work together more. And so we came up with this idea of making an org and building the org around our friends and building the org around friendship in general.
The five of them had founded a brand new streaming organization and called it One True King, or OTK for short. OTK was different from a traditional
I did not know it was called One True King. I just thought it was OTK. I had no idea what OTK was, to be honest. 2001 is a bad year. The fuck it is. It was the best year because I was born. Best year. Right here. I'm the reason why it's the best year. Look, I was born, and then not even a month later, 3,000 people gave their lives. It was amazing. This is a fucking joke. Look, it's been 22 years now. We don't need to keep bringing up 2000 or the 9/11. Like, we don't bring up the Holocaust every day. Like, come on. That should stay its own little holiday. Just like 420, its own little holiday, right? All right. Wait, do you know Yes, I know 9/11. I'm American after all. I was alive during it. Not sentient, but alive.
esports org, and that they didn't focus solely on putting together teams to compete in events. Instead, they thought of themselves as a lifestyle brand and media production company, not bound to any one game or category on Twitch. The broad focus allowed the group to cover any games or gaming events they wanted, but World of Warcraft still held a special place in Rich's heart. Rich and Asmon continued to produce the Allcraft podcast together, and OTK
Yes, I know the 2 buildings. I just gave you like the statistics of the death count of 9/11 too. Like, it's 3,000 people, which is the same amount of views I got on my highest viewed video. There are no coincidences in life. 3,000 is a very important number to me, apparently. Just like I love you, 3,000. This is like getting really hot. And it takes a lot of electricity. One should be fine.
Participated in and hosted several WoW events, with a lot of community support. This is going to be the best WoW event ever. OTK are literally the heroes of the community. Can't wait. 2020 was a great year for Rich, with the founding of his new org and his stream gaining over 140,000 new followers on Twitch.
He makes me better. He makes me smarter. He shares things with me. And everything that I do, when I do it with Asmon, I have even more fun. I would literally have him around at every single part of the day. That's what friends are for. Of course I wish I wanted to have sex with him, because then I would f the shit out of him right after we hung out.
In August of the next year, OTK passed Luminosity Gaming to become the most watched streaming organization in the world. They had pulled over 25 million hours of viewership in the previous month alone.
Just like Mr. Beast 6,000, I don't get it.
Rich's stream was growing at an
But that is 3,000s.
astronomical rate, gaining 80,000 followers in a month and rising into the top 200 overall most watched streamers on all of Twitch. Rich pushed even harder to grow his stream, and in October of 2021, he did a subathon that lasted from October 17th to October 29th. During this time, he streamed non-stop, bringing in a lot of new eyes to the channel. Rich was at the forefront of a new wave of content taking Twitch by storm: Final Fantasy XIV Online. Former World of Warcraft players who were unhappy with the state of the game flocked to Final Fantasy, and Rich was one of the biggest streamers supporting this new game. There were plenty of competitive challenges to tackle, but it also served as a way for Rich to have random encounters with fans, and sometimes girls Rich had DM'd.
Your first DM was, "Do you live in Canada?" in March 24th of 2019.
Shut up. I thought it was you. No, you tweeted some shit to me. Oh my.
How far is that from Montreal? I'm going to Montreal in 2 weeks. I was going to say, we should grab a drink.
What do you mean Arcless 3,000? I'm confused. I'm confused.
Oh my god. I thought you hit on me first.
It was a pretty well-known fact among Rich's fans that the main thing he was into outside of streaming was picking up girls.
Wait, with my house?
Oh, we should have said that.
Have you had with Rich Campbell?
Yes.
Stories of Rich's one-night stands were common clips, which is why fans were so surprised when Rich finally got into a committed relationship with a serious girlfriend in early 2022. Adult film star Mia Malkova ending up with a terminally online World of Warcraft streamer was a pretty funny matchup and made for some great content. In almost every interview Mia did from then on, she got out.
Wait, what's this? I had no idea what OTK was, to be honest. 2001 is a bad year. The fuck it is. It was the best year. I have no idea what it was. What do you mean, pause? It is. I stand by it was the best year because I was born. Why am I being pinged? Oh my gosh, Swole doing it. Okay, now Azzy's doing it at everyone in Central Standard a Happy New Year. Oh my god, why am I getting so many damn pings? Oh my god, it's Chibi. Chibi Reviews. Giving a ping to everyone saying love you. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, everyone's doing their New Year pings. Shit. Alright. Alright. By the way, what you playing? I am playing World of Warcraft. It was the same game that like they're talking about a lot. It's like how Asmongold and everyone else is streaming it. The World of Warcraft Arena World Cup thing. Oh my god. It's just in the background so I can like level up my Death Knight while we do other things on stream. Alright. Oh my god, talent points? Let's go. Shit. Glacial, Advanced. Spikes sound fun. Frost Scythe. Obliterate. I want Glacial Advanced. That sounds fun as hell. We'll do this critical strike bonus. There you go. Do you have a Discord server? I do. It is always linked in the description below. Every video, every stream. Both Twitter and Discord. I plug them usually at the very end of the streams, which I should do about every half hour. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share the stream to all of your friends and family. Unless you don't want to, and then that's up to you. You're the one with the power here, my dudes. Alright, okay, I'm enjoying. Well then, welcome to the server, Basti. I'm waiting for it.
Asked questions about Rich.
100%. You have a type.
He has a pregnant fetish. He really wants to get me pregnant.
Ooh, that's kind of hot though.
He has a what?
He wants to get me pregnant.
On December 15th, Rich tweeted screenshots from this clip with the caption, "Just had an awkward conversation with my parents that started with, we were on Instagram." The same day, a user named Azalea Lexi tweeted, "I know Mia Malkova isn't lying about Rich Campbell's pregnant fetish because he said he wanted to get me pregnant while he assaulted me and then sent me into the streets at 3 a.m. by myself with nowhere to go." She followed it up with another tweet that said, "I don't care if you believe me at this point, I'm sick of pretending it didn't happen, so there it is." At the same time, Rich was casting an Echo Esports event in Switzerland. He was on camera the moment he saw the tweets. In the blink of an eye, it looked like Rich's entire career might be over. The next day, Azalea tweeted, "If you want the whole account, here it is." Excerpts from the Twitlonger read, "Rich and I had a very up and down, on and off friendship and relationship for 4 years that started towards the end of his career on the Call of Duty desk. Our physical relationship started in..."
Welcome to the Discord. Guess who this is?
In Columbus, Ohio in 2019 and was a disaster from there. There were several times during the 4 years that he made it clear he only viewed me as a sexual object, but when I would confront him about it, I would get love bombed and gaslit into thinking he cared about me and wanted to be with me. After he lied to me about having a girlfriend for an extended amount of time in June 2021, I didn't speak to him or see him until he called me asking to apologize around the end of July, beginning of August. I always had a deep love for Rich as a person and friend. As the beginning of our friendship, he was there for me like not a lot of people are. So I gave him another chance to be friends. He told me he would prove to me that he was working on being a better person and that he wanted to be in my life. Then in October, he began his typical antics and begged me to come to Texas around his subathon. I said no because I did not think it was appropriate to stay with him because I did not want to sleep with him and that I did not trust him. He also came to LA in December of 2021 and asked to see me, but mainly was only asking me to come to his hotel. I said no due to the fact that I was not interested in having sex with him. There was not much communication until I was at a French restaurant, AOC, in the Upper East Side on January 30th of this year with 2 girlfriends. As the night came to an end around 12 a.m., I Ubered to Rich's apartment in Williamsburg because he asked to see me. We were in the movie theater in his building and talking, and he repeatedly kept attempting to get me to lay on him.
Did I join? You are, guess who this is, right? Look at Nitro doing Nitro things just like a beam would. I'm pretty sure you joined.
Him. I repeatedly said, "I'm not here to sleep with you and I do not want that." At one point in the theater, he said, "I think tonight is the last time I'm ever going to see you." After trying to speak to him for an hour about our relationship and the awful way he treated me, he just continued to deflect and said there's no reason to talk about it because it makes him feel bad. He said that we couldn't stay in that room and needed to go up to his apartment per the apartment rules. I said I don't trust that, and he promised me that was the situation, that nothing would happen, and he was respecting the boundary I set. We get upstairs and he starts talking about how hot I would be pregnant. Azalea then went into detail about the rest of what happened at Rich's apartment that night. It's too graphic for YouTube, but if Azalea's account is true, Rich raped her that night. Azalea described what happened next. Afterwards, I called my friend who I was staying with so I could come back, and she wasn't answering because it was late at night and she was already asleep. Rich said I couldn't stay there, so I called hotels around New York City looking for a cheap room. I asked for the nearest subway and it was a 20-minute walk. Without saying anything to him, I left and cried in his lobby as he texted me, "You okay?" I never replied. I left, went to a sketchy hotel in Chinatown, and processed it by myself. I left New York the next day and never spoke to Rich again. She posted messages leading up to the night she described and the "you okay" text after. As soon as Azalea posted this on Twitter, she started receiving a lot of backlash. Commenters called her a clout chaser and worse. Asmongold had this to say.
I want to say a couple of things that I've just really got to say something about. I mean, it was a big shock to me. I think it was a shock to everybody. It's hard for me to process what's been going on. And I understand.
By the way, do you play MSM? I do not know what MSM is.
That for a lot of people, you all who might have been fans of Rich or Allcraft, you might have...
I've seen this part. It was just an Asmongold clip, and I had no idea who Rich was at the time. This is part of why we're watching the video.
I felt that way too. I want to say one thing though, before I go any farther. You are not on our team. You are not helping us. You are not doing us any favors or doing anyone any favors by calling a girl.
Oh, My Singing Monsters, yes, sometimes. I actually can make music now, so I don't really have a need for My Singing Monsters. That and the sound effects is, I think, the same ones that is used from BandLab, which is just a website. Oh wait, shit, run away. I don't need them yet. Which, like, kind of shitty if it is. I don't know, it's something I was interested in doing for, like, streaming stuff. It's just not as interested in it now.
That comes out and tells this kind of a story, a liar. I read a lot of the comments on Twitter, etc. And I saw a lot of people that were saying that it wasn't true, that she's making everything up. Please do not do that. The third thing I want to say is that I read everything. I also know a few other things as well. This is not drama. This is not getting canceled. These are crimes. I don't want people to go in and call this is drama. It's not f***ing drama. This is serious. It is as serious as it gets. I took action as soon as I could. And I don't know.
Asmongold backed this up with action, as the same day OTK tweeted, "Today we learned of troubling allegations made against one of our founders, Rich Campbell. Rich has resigned from OTK effective immediately." Rich had this to say, "I have read the statements made against me today. I will share my side of the story, but need some time to collect my thoughts. OTK has requested that I resign from my position, and I have agreed. I will make an update soon." Asmongold saying, "I read everything, I also know a few other things as well," begs the question, what are the other things? Are there...
Did he know things before this, and they're just now taking action after it became public knowledge? Which, if it is really bad and does not look good on any other members, just like the issue with Mizkif.
Are there other skeletons in Rich's closet that we don't know about yet? On December 23rd, one of the most popular content creators in OTK, Jay Schlatt, left the organization.
I did not know Jay Schlatt was part of OTK. Wait, when was that?
Asmongold saying, "I read everything, I also know a few other things as well," begs the question, what are the other things? Are there other skeletons in Rich's closet that we don't know about yet? On December 23rd, one of the most popular content creators in OTK, JSchlatt, left the organization. With almost 2 million followers on Twitch and 4 million subs on YouTube, this was a huge loss for the org. The next day on December 24th, longtime streamer CaseyTron had this to say.
It was relayed to me by Lexi that Asmon communicated to her there were several other victims, and that there are corroborating factors in each story.
Look, I hardly knew what OTK was. I knew it was a streaming thing. I thought JSchlatt was like part of Dreams, whatever, because that's all I knew JSchlatt from for a long time. No, JSchlatt is definitely like one of the better content creators in my opinion. No, but like, I didn't even know Asmongold was a part of it until recently either. Which, oof, turns out everyone's a part of OTK, I guess.
She told me that she is also aware of one other victim that has a similar theater story to hers, and others that have stated he without consent.
Rich's immediate booting from OTK happened much differently than when another one of OTK's founders, Mizkif, was accused of covering up sexual assault just a couple months before. Mizkif stepped down from his duties with the org pending an investigation and continued to stream. He wasn't kicked off OTK and technically hasn't lost his job with them either. As of the time of this writing, Rich Campbell has remained completely radio silent. If you want to hear the story of exactly what happened with Mizkif and why he's still under investigation at the time of this video, you'll want to watch my Twitch's Darkest Allegations video right here.
I did not, oh my god, I want to learn more about Mizkif and his horrendous whatever.
It's the morning of July.
I know that I do plan a Terraria server once like it's cross-platform, and then we can all just work towards making a map together. But if I were to do a Minecraft SMP, it's definitely in survival because I hate creative. It'd likely just be vanilla, maybe add a few plugins, but it'd be a mostly anarchy server. Just the only thing would be like no hacking and be respectful to other people, like verbally. Physically arrest them in game all you want though. That is like, it's part of the game. But like being dicks in chat is just kind of a mean thing. No reason for that. Excuse me. It'd just be cool to watch people like create their own little cities and such. See alliances be built, bridges be burned, and wars started, wars fought, wars ended. Like, doesn't that sound fun? Alright, July 6,
2021. Maya Higa wakes up her housemates Mitch Jones and Mizkif in a panic. Something is seriously wrong and they have to act now. The three of them have made successful careers online, with Maya and Mizkif's growing popularity on Twitch and Mitch Jones' streaming and music career. Mizkif has worked to build up a network of content creators in Austin, Texas over the last several years, along with a loyal fan base. Together, they have millions of followers and tens of thousands of concurrent viewers. But all of that is in jeopardy right now because of allegations against a fourth housemate. Overnight, a streamer called Novaru made some very serious allegations against Mizkif's best friend, Crazy Slick. After Maya wakes Mitch and Mizkif up, they discuss what they need to do next. Maya and Mitch leave the house to visit with a streamer named Adriana Lee. Adriana was about to write a twit longer that she had never intended to release, but now she was backed into a corner with no other way out. If you believe one group of people,
it is weird how she was like treated when clearly Mizkif and all of them are in the wrong. Like, sexual assault's a pretty bad thing, my dude. I don't know how you can defend that.
people, what you're about to hear is the story of Mizkif believing his best friend and defending him until the bitter end based on the information he was given. If you believe another group of people, this is the tale of a dark conspiracy and cover-up in an effort to protect a dangerous person. What makes these allegations so sinister is not only what was alleged to have happened at a party back in 2020, but the alleged cover-up that destroyed friendships, careers, and lives. Let's take a look at the evidence together and see what makes these Twitch's darkest allegations.
These people are all corrupt rats. They're idiots. They need you and I to be the villain. They need their heroes to be the heroes. None of this is about truth.
People I've literally known for years, like we're super close with, have turned on me and tried to come up with some random reason to not like me. Their careers are also taking a toll, and it's not fair to them that their careers are taking a toll for something that happened to me when I was sleeping. Something I didn't even want to fucking say. Something Novaru fucking came out about.
Nigga, what does that mean?
Did Miz explicitly give direction to you and Maya and whoever the fuck else was in that room to go to Adriana's house and to quote unquote downplay the situation or find a way to save Slick's ass? Yes or no?
The answer to that is yes.
I brought Mitch and Maya over, and I was there when Maya was trying to get her to downplay the story. And because of Miskiff, this dude was able to just be a creep to even more girls.
I was there with her while she was writing it, but it was not like I'm not like holding a gun to this girl's head. I'm not like trying to pay her off. I'm not blackmailing her into saying.
Why the fuck would you send that in chat then? Why? Oh my god. Not good, Bad Basti. Nah. Get that out of here. Remove. There, it's gone. Shake my head.
What I want her to say.
When your best friend is getting canceled, man, I'm sorry you want to act. I'm sorry you just want to act.
I don't want to make any predictions, but like I'm pretty sure Miskiff is maybe completely gone. His streaming career might be over.
Okay, so
It's the night of January 19th, 2020, and the streamer Nova has her 21st birthday party. In attendance was another streamer named
old people, old.
Room to go to Adriana's house and to quote unquote
might be over.
It's the night of
That was Destiny, right?
January 9th.
Room to go to Adriana's house and to
Saying what I want her to say.
When your best friend is getting canceled, man, I'm sorry you want to act. I'm sorry you just want to act.
I don't want to make any predictions, but like I'm pretty sure Miskiff is maybe completely gone. His streaming career might be over.
It's the night of January 19th, 2020, and the streamer Nova has her 21st birthday party. In attendance was another streamer named Adriana Lee. Throughout that night, Adriana ended up getting intoxicated because she was comfortable around her friends and trusted them to make sure that nothing would happen to her. While Adriana was drinking, she ended up making out with her other friend Ina, and that caught the attention of someone who was following around Adriana that whole night. Crazy Slick attempted to kiss Adriana multiple times throughout that night. Eventually, while Adriana was really drunk, Crazy Slick ended up making out with her in the kitchen of the Airbnb, and after this, Adriana went into a room with all of her friends where she should have been able to relax and pass out without any worry that someone would bother her. But multiple times that night, Crazy Slick came into the room and touched her neck and chest, claiming that he was checking her pulse because he was supposedly worried about her. After this incident, Adriana Lee felt like it wasn't a huge deal and wasn't going to speak on it, but that would all change 18 months later in July of 2021 when Nova spoke about the incident on her live stream. Now, even though Nova didn't mention Adriana by name, she did make the whole situation pretty obvious, getting to a point where Adriana had to make a tweet longer about the incident and how she felt really uncomfortable with Crazy Slick and how she was also angry with Nova because it wasn't her situation to talk about and her and Nova were never really friends. Crazy Slick looked like a creep and ended up making a tweet longer apologizing for his actions and making Adriana and her friends feel very uncomfortable, but he insisted that he was only going into that room to make sure that Adriana was okay.
Over the next year, the landscape of Twitch underwent radical change. Popular streamers were approached by online gambling companies and offered massive amounts of money to gamble on stream. Many streamers were gambling on Twitch without sponsored deals just
I'd gamble on stream. Probably not like with actual money though.
because they enjoyed it and it brought in a lot of viewership. But for the ones who made deals, the level of wealth they were handed is astounding. One popular streamer during this time became the face of gambling on Twitch, Trainwreck. He wasn't the only streamer taking gambling sponsorships on Twitch, not by a long shot, but the level of money he was pulling in made him a lightning rod for controversy. At one point, he said he was making in excess of $1 million per month. Another streamer that was offered a huge deal was Miskiff. On a stream in April 2022, Miskiff revealed that he had been offered offered $10 million a year to gamble on stream for just 15 hours a month. The reason he turned it down tells us a lot about who he is.
The biggest problem I had with it is I would have to move to Canada. That it really was to me, like, what I was thinking about the most. Like, I don't want to move to Canada. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to, like, it almost made me go like, I would never do it.
Others on the platform were not able to resist the urge to gamble though, and for some, pastime turned into compulsion, and compulsion opened up into the abyss of addiction. One streamer who found himself in this dark place was a streamer called Slicker. Slicker had secretly gotten extremely addicted to sports betting. It was not going well for him financially, but most people weren't aware how deep a hole he had dug himself. In September of 2022, the dam broke, and a flood of people went public with their stories of how Slicker had messaged them asking for money and then never paid it back. Popular financial YouTuber CoffeeZilla.
Darkest allegations, not just one. Okay. I remember this one. This one wasn't too long ago, was it?
Released a video on September 19th showing that he had found evidence of 55 victims who had been swindled out of at least $384,000 by Slicker. Some people saw this as an opportunity to make a push to ban gambling from Twitch once and for all. People with large audiences like Ludwig, Pokimane, and Mizkif tweeted that it was time for Twitch to do something. Popular streamer Asmongold tweeted, "How in the f is Slicker not banned on Twitch? Guy literally uses the platform to defraud dozens of people, streamers and viewers alike, and admits it. Gideon is still sitting a perma while Slicker gets to go live and laugh about an actual crime. It's an absolute disgrace, Twitch." Trainwreck replied, "Because your pals decided it was in their best interest to use and platform the very person that scammed everyone for his..."
Shit, okay, yeah, no, I forgot this is what brought it back up, isn't it? But, alright then.
Horse racing and tennis bets to somehow twist it and wage their war against me, and we both know deep down why the insecure little man is doing this. The person Train was referring to was quick to reply, "If we're going to deplatform people for scamming others, shouldn't we have banned you for Joltcoin a few years back?" What Train replied turned out to be an absolute bombshell. "Are you going to send Maya and Mitch to railroad and blackmail me like you did those girls to cover up all those sexual assaults, you f***ing scumbag piece of... Then you better be sure you don't live in a glass house, you insecure..." Mizkif was quick to delete his tweet, and Train clarified that he wasn't alleging that Mizkif assaulted women, but that he orchestrated cover-ups for his friends, exactly how my tweet reads. What the hell was Train talking about? For many, this was the first time they had heard about any of this. Did Mizkif really orchestrate a cover-up to protect his friend? And what actually happened at that party back in 2020? Over the next few days, some things would become even more obscured. People would give accounts of the events that contradicted other people's stories, and sometimes even their own. New information came out that was never made public the first time this was talked about in 2021. Novaru had told the story originally without Adriana's consent, 18 months after the night of the party. Adriana herself says she was drunk and passed out and doesn't remember what happened. She also said that she had only recently learned that it was SA. Without video evidence, it's hard to really know exactly what happened that night because it's one person's word against another's. Even so, a damning picture of Slick's character began to emerge as women began to contact Adriana to share their stories about their experiences with Slick. They said that Slick sent them inappropriate messages, wouldn't take no for an answer, touched them inappropriately, sent unsolicited inappropriate pictures, and more. Adriana posted stories from at least 10 other women about their experiences with Crazy Slick. While the specific events of the night of the party were disputed, now no one could deny that Slick was at best a creep. Many people started to question why Train had brought all this up now. Why use it as ammo during an argument about gambling? Train addressed this, saying that people shouldn't be worried about the timing, but instead the content of what was said. Adriana...
Timing is still a very important thing. Let's, not just sweep that under the rug, my dude.
Had this to say.
"I'm sick of everybody coming at X and coming at Train saying, you guys knew you were waiting for the right time to drop it. It was the right time to drop it, because if it was dropped any other time, and I'll tell you this, if it was dropped any other time, it would have gotten pushed under the rug just like it was before."
Slick himself tweeted, "I never checked her pulse on her chest. I checked..."
It should be kept being brought up until something's done about it, right?
her neck and wrist only. He would go on later in the day to delete this tweet. After this, Slick went dark. Late that night, Mizkif took to his offline chat. I'm worried about him. He's not home. I don't know where he is. He just said that he's going to a girl's house, but I don't know where he is. Stop being worried about Slick. Asmon said he doesn't want anyone to have contact with him. How stupid is that? I do care. He's my best friend, my rock for 4 years. This shit is so hard. Bro, please, where's Slick? I can't find him. The sudden disappearance of Crazy Slick wasn't the only problem Mizkif was facing at the moment. If Mizkif and others had used one situation to try and get gambling banned, some people were using this situation to try and take down Mizkif. One of those people was Ice Poseidon, a permanently banned ex-Twitch streamer who Mizkif used to work with, but they'd since had a falling out. The night Slick went missing, Ice Poseidon tweeted, "Mizkif, I brought you into this world and now I'm taking you out," along with 4 screenshots of Miz saying racial slurs. Mizkif had already apologized for these in the past, but they added fuel to a fire that was getting out of control. Someone on Twitter posted a clip that went viral of Mizkif talking about the Adriana situation sometime in the past.
I don't think there's a single person that we used to hang out with that doesn't hang out with Slick anymore because of what happened.
Oh my god, look, it's WoW. I know that game.
I actually think there's literally none. Because the reality is, worst comes to worst of it, it's in like sexual harassment, right? I mean, like, no one, of what you can deem of it, it's sexual harassment, whatever. At a low scale, it's not really.
Oh my god, bro, let's go and make a essay tier list and see what's S and what's the F. Right? That's the goal from this. That's what we're taking away, yep.
A big deal. I don't think people really gave a shit and really cared.
Everything coming out looked extremely damning for Mizkif and Maya. Mitch Jones had helped them back in 2021, but now he was turning on them. When asked what instructions Mizkif gave them before they went to Adriana's house the day she wrote her twit longer, Mitch had this to say.
The exact words that were said were like, "Maya, you are Maya Higa. You know who you are. You're a woman. She'll listen to you." Not like maybe listen's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. She, like, does that make any sense? Those were along the lines. And then he looked at me and he was like, "Mitch, you should shut the fuck up and not say a goddamn thing." And that was that.
While all of this was playing out online, unknown to the public, many of the people involved got in a Discord call to hash all this out. Unknown to the other people in the call, one of them was recording it. The entire call got leaked. YouTube streamer Destiny was given a copy of the recording, which took place on the night of September 19th, and he began to analyze it live on his stream. By this point, a huge number of people were following the story. Reddit was exploding with conspiracy theories, and hundreds of clips regarding the situation clogged the front page of LSF, and news outlets began picking up the story. Destiny went live to analyze the leaked call, and his stream reached over 58,000 concurrent viewers at one point. The situation had spiraled from a Twitter argument into a full-blown catastrophe for everyone involved in less than 24 hours. As Destiny began his leak, several new details came to light that weren't clear before, and new characters in the story were revealed. The heated conversation in the leaked call quickly focused onto figuring out what actually happened the day Mitch and Maya went to visit Adriana, the day she wrote her twit longer. One of the people on the call was Barry. Barry is an old school Twitch personality and friend of Mitch Jones. It turns out he went with Maya and Mitch Jones to see Adriana the day she wrote the twit longer. His claims about what really happened would shed new light on the situation.
It's basically Maya gaslighting Adriana the whole time. Basically saying, "Are you sure this is what Slick did to you? You're pretty drunk. You wouldn't remember it. Are you sure? That doesn't sound something like Slick would do. We know Slick." And then she was like, "If you tweet longer, Crazy Slick, this won't be good for your streaming career."
Destiny was quick to point out that everyone on this call had an agenda or a side of the story they were trying to push, which would color the way they described past events heavily. This is where the real fork in the road starts. Trainwreck and Barry characterized the fact that Mizkif sent Maya and Mitch Jones to visit Adriana before she wrote the twit longer as malicious. They claim that Maya was there to gaslight her, to bully her into downplaying the situation and make Slick seem like he wasn't such a bad guy so that Mizkif wouldn't have to kick him out of the house and end their friendship. Train claimed that just the fact that they showed up that day was a power play to intimidate Adriana and sweep the whole thing under the rug. Barry said that Maya had encouraged Adriana to either post the twit longer anonymously or not do it
That's a nice Pikachu hoodie.
at all. But if Maya had gone to get the
Beanie? Hood? I'm not sure what that is. Hat? Costume?
facts from Adriana to question her to see if Slick had really done something worthy of being kicked out of Mizkif's house and cut out of their lives, her tough questions could easily be construed as something more sinister, even if that wasn't the intention. Exactly what Maya's intentions were that day and what was said between her and Adriana, we may never know. But Maya would go live later in the day to tell the story from her perspective.
And I asked her if she thought that Slick actually assaulted her. And at the time, we agreed, or at the time, she said no. So I said, okay, could you include that in your twit longer then? Was there a power dynamic in that situation? Because I'm a bigger streamer, yes. And I feel bad about that. It wasn't my intention to introduce that to the situation. I wasn't trying to impose that on her. I wasn't trying to pressure her, or like force her into saying something. But did it naturally exist? Yes.
Back in the leaks call, Mizkif had a very different take on what had happened that day.
I want you to listen to the scenario. I woke up. I remember the whole day. This was one of the scariest days of my lives. My best friend in the whole world, Slick, is getting accused of, people are saying he's about to get canceled. I run in his room. Maya's crying. I'm freaking the f*** out. I'm hyperventilating. Mitch is there. We're all trying to figure out what the f*** we can do for my best friend, right? I care about Slick. I f***ing do. I love the guy. And people were telling us, mainly Barry, that, yo, Adriana Lee's about to come out with some shit. I am freaking out, and I'm literally crying because I'm saying to myself, I'm going to lose my best friend. I'm going to lose my best friend in the entire world. Maya's upset. Mitch is sitting there. We're all freaking out. So then I tried to get answers. I tried to get, what is Adriana Lee thinking? What is going on here? What's happening to my best friend? I wanted to know.
What is going on in here? Let's just move that off to the side. Aspirin scratcher. What did... I'm confused. It's a dance party now, I guess. They got rid of the auctioneer. What? Let me up. Bruh, not nice. Bruh, what the fuck? Bruh. Who the fuck is this? Daphne Funky Beats. That is a name. Alright, let's just put this back up. Bop. Oh my god, I keep forgetting to do the quick transition.
Mizkif's motivations didn't make sense to anyone else in the call. Why would he put his entire career on the line for a guy who had such a mountain of allegations against him?
When your best friend is getting canceled, man, I'm sorry you want to act. I'm sorry you just want to act.
During the course of the conversation, it becomes apparent that Mizkif was still holding out hope that somehow Slick wouldn't be canceled, and the conversation turned into everyone else trying to convince him to cut ties. Mizkif said that his lawyer was texting him, and then his mic went silent. On Twitch, Adriana Lee had gone live. Adriana explained that a story that she hadn't even intended to tell publicly had been haunting her life for the past 2 years, and sought to clear the air about a lot of things.
I don't know what is assault defined. He did not me. He did not stick a finger on me or whatever, but he did try to touch my chest. He touched my chest multiple times when he was asked to stop. Multiple times. He kept insisting multiple times to do that.
Adriana then called a crucial witness to get his recounting of what actually happened at Nova's party. This friend's name is Kyle. Kyle is the only person who has come forward with an account of what happened who was actually in the room that night, aside from Crazy Slick. Adriana was there too, of course, but she was not coherent.
Can you please just tell the story, because no one's gonna believe me, because I'm a quote drama who's fishing for attention, and you are the person who's there who doesn't even have a Twitch channel. So I would just love for you to tell the story really fast to the audience.
Adriana was just passed out in a bedroom, so we were sitting there taking care of her, making sure she's okay. And then Slick came in multiple times saying, like, is she okay? And, you know, saying that he just wants to feel her pulse and, like, was, like, you know, touching, like, your chest area and, like, your pulse. And, like, after we were telling you, like, you know, stop, we're good, you know, we're here. Just, you know, we're watching over here, we're making sure, okay, you don't need to do that. We asked him to leave, and he just kept doing that over and over and insisting that he needed to make sure she was all right, and just kept, like, trying to touch you, like, in your chest area. And that's not even like the one thing. Also, him trying to like kiss you and Anna, who's my girlfriend, at the party at the same night. So it's like not just that one situation, but when you ask someone to stop doing something to someone who's like incapacitated, then you should stop.
Adriana went on to claim that Maya had promised her that she wouldn't be kicked out of the friend group or blacklisted from the Austin streamer community if she came forward with her story. But according to Adriana, that's exactly what ended up happening.
Like, I wanted to give up on living because of the fact that it was just a joke to people. The fact that I was touched was a joke to people and that nobody seemed to fucking care. And I saw right in front of my eyes the people that I thought were my friends disregard our friendship for clout.
The next day on September 20th, Slick was found. Mizkif finally realized what he had to do. That night, he released a public statement. Hey guys, to update everyone, we found Crazy Slick. He has not harmed himself. After hearing from Adriana and the numerous other women who have shared their experiences with him, it's clear that he's not the person he made himself out to be. In terms of his living situation, Slick has been told to vacate our house as soon as possible. I appreciate and support those who were brave enough to come forward with their stories about his behavior. A little while after Slick's misconduct came to light last year, I made some inexcusable statements on an alt stream after some chat messages got to me. To Adriana and all those affected by sexual harassment, I am sorry for those statements. Sexual harassment, regardless of degree, can never be considered small, and while my intention was to clarify a misleading chat message, I chose my words poorly and my response came off as downplaying what should never be downplayed. He went on to say, I am sorry to everyone affected by this situation. I made bad judgment calls based on what I was led to believe, and I deeply regret it. I also want to apologize to OTK, our staff, and our partners who put their trust in me every day to represent our organization in the best way I can. OTK has informed me that the organization is in the process of contracting a third party to investigate the actions above. During this time, I will be taking a leave of absence and stepping away from organizational duties.
So, to get into it, I'm not trying to stall or anything, just wanted to preface everything properly. So to get into it, as of today, Slick is gone. He is gone. He'll be back on Sunday to pick up his stuff, but he's gone, and he's never coming back, obviously.
Just a few days later, Maya also released a statement, part of which said, I did not go to the house that day with the intention of manipulating Adriana's story. I did not cover up SA. This would not be possible as even Adriana did not consider the incident to be SA until this past Monday, as she said on her stream. Adriana's feelings regarding the situation have rightfully changed since that day, and I support her. On that day, I was only able to operate off the information that was given to me by Adriana and the eyewitnesses at that time. Maya went on to say that she would be stepping away from the internet indefinitely. Slick has deleted his Twitter, but his Twitch remains a snapshot of a time that probably feels a world away from him now. Adriana has said that she's been working 2 jobs to support herself ever since her streaming career was stunted by all of this. And Mizkif's greatest fear has been completely realized. He said no to $10 million a year because he didn't want to be alone, but the fear of losing his best friend pushed him to either not look hard enough at serious allegations against Slick, or possibly to actively try to cover them up. And now he's lost his best friend anyway. Mizkif might also lose his place in the organization he founded, and a lot of people have been hurt badly, including the real victim, Adriana, whose story has finally been brought out into the light. Despite the ongoing third-party investigation into his conduct, Mizkif seems optimistic that he can salvage his career from this. After all, he did finally make the difficult decision to kick his best friend out of the house and cut ties. So he's returned to streaming, and his audience has returned to watching him. All he had to do was pay the one price he never wanted to.
Yeah, no, that I feel bad for Mizkif a little
Controversial
bit.
actors in Hollywood.
Alright, here we go. Doop. Alright, yeah, that's right. Doop doo 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 doo.
Freakouts.
What did you just say? What did you just say? What did you just say?
Alcoholism.
Listen, can we talk, me and you?
No, we can't talk nothing.
Listen, I'm not the one that.
American. I
Okay.
pay my taxes. Get me off my arms.
4chan. Today we'll be looking into one of the most controversial actors in Hollywood, Shia LaBeouf, who has become infamous on the internet over the past decade. But then we have the question of how much of his shenanigans are merely an act, an elaborate art piece. Well, that is what
He's my favorite actor. I like Bumblebee.
he'll try to figure out today. While he later became known for wild publicity stunts, drunken rampages, and strange artistic experimentation, Shia LaBeouf's career began fairly innocently. He started out as a...
Ever heard of Shia LaBeouf live? No. Also, dude, his fucking last name. His name at all is just so weird. Like, if it's fine if you like say it, but if you read it, it looks really weird. Oh my, you'd even misspell it, damn.
Child actor, appearing on episodes of shows like The X-Files, Freaks and Geeks, and ER. But his breakout role came on the Disney Channel sitcom Even Stevens, which ran...
No, it didn't. His breakout role was to Transformers of 2007.
And for 65 episodes and won him...
Did I get that right? When did Transformers... 2007, July 3rd. I was right. Okay, good. Good. Glad to see
a
I'm never
Daytime
wrong.
Emmy Award in 2003.
I was just commenting that it's amazing how your favorite continent is my favorite continent too.
When the series ended, it was followed by a Disney Channel original movie, which cemented him as one of Disney's most well-known stars at the time. But even with this, the actor's home life growing up was anything but peaceful. In a 2007 interview, he detailed some of the tumultuous stories from his youth, mainly centered around his father, who was addicted to heroin for years of the actor's childhood. Shia received regular mental and verbal abuse from his dad, including an incident where he pointed a gun at his son during a Vietnam War flashback. His mother was keeping their family afloat on limited earnings, and they were forced to live in one of Los Angeles' tougher neighborhoods. This upbringing gave Shia a wealth of experience to draw upon as an actor, but also forced him to grow up very quickly. In 2003, he also starred in Disney's adaptation of the novel Holes, which showed his potential
I did like Holes. Holes is a good movie.
As not just a standout young actor, but as a genuine movie star. And much like the character he played in the film, LaBeouf had once gotten in trouble with the police at only the age of 9 for stealing a pair of sneakers, a story he didn't share publicly until years later. This would not be the last time that LaBeouf would have a run-in with the law. The actor continued his film career in supporting roles in blockbusters, but also began to branch away from the mainstream. His work in films like The Greatest Game Ever Played, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, and Bobby showed a desire to not just be another celebrity, but an actor who was taken seriously. Eventually, his dedication and undeniable talent led to Steven Spielberg taking an interest in the young performer, and he even went so far as to say that Shia had the potential to be, quote, the next Tom Hanks. In 2007, what made him a true superstar was his starring role in Michael Bay's Transformers. The next
Oh, yes, let's go, Transformers from Michael Bay.
year, Shia played a major supporting role in Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as the titular character's son, Mutt Williams. Given the positioning of Mutt's role in the story, it's likely that Lucasfilm hoped to have the young star take over as the protagonist for future films. At the time, it seemed that the actor could do no wrong, as he was on his way to becoming Hollywood royalty. Unfortunately, things would quickly change. Due to poor critical reception, especially to LaBeouf's performance and role, plans for a spin-off franchise were effectively scrapped. But this was only the start of the problems. Later, the actor publicly denounced Indiana Jones 4, saying that both he and Spielberg had dropped the ball during production, although he placed the majority of the blame on himself. His co-star
He looks like some sort of drug addict.
The actor publicly denounced Indiana Jones 4, saying that both he and Spielberg had dropped the ball during production, although he placed the majority of the blame on himself. His co-star Harrison Ford replied to the comments by bluntly calling him a quote-unquote effing idiot. Later on, Shia would admit that his criticisms had damaged his relationship with the director. The actor stated that Spielberg, who also produced the Transformers films, had told him in regards to Indiana Jones, "There's a time to be a human being and have an opinion, and there's a time to sell cars." Even with the fallout, his career did not stop after Indiana Jones. He starred in the second and third Transformers movies, and although box office hits, they were also panned by critics. Around this time, his passion for blockbusters was beginning to fade, but the actor was still very much being positioned to be a top Hollywood star. By 2012, LaBeouf was tired of the robot franchise and wanted to move on, saying that he felt his character's story ended with the trilogy, and has never shown any sign of wanting to return ever since. In fact, after being cast,
I mean, to be fair, why would you? Because the Transformer movies honestly just kind of suck. I mean, I liked Bumblebee. Bumblebee was a good movie, but eh.
in controversial director Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac films, Shia announced that he was stepping away from blockbusters entirely. He claimed that there was no room for artists in the studio system, so the actor put his full energy behind more independent projects like the bootlegging drama Lawless and the World War II action thriller Fury across the next few years. During this time, he started dating Mia Goth, one of his co-stars. He was also set to make his Broadway debut alongside Alec Baldwin in Orphans, but left the show citing creative differences. Baldwin later explained that the actor's behavior during rehearsals had made him very difficult to work with, including an instance where he berated his castmates for rehearsing too slowly. This had apparently led to LaBeouf being axed, ironically during a meeting where he offered to quit. But Shia's name would soon be spreading for other reasons than his acting work. In February 2014, at the Berlin premiere of Nymphomaniac, LaBeouf arrived dressed in a tuxedo with a paper bag on his head. The words, "I am not famous anymore," were written across it, and pictures of this odd costume spread like wildfire. Earlier that day, the actor had stormed out of the film's press conference after only 10 minutes, leaving his co-stars and directors surprised and confused. This would be a common reaction to LaBeouf's behavior. Strangely, only a month earlier, he had announced that he was retiring from public life, but to this day, that has proven to be very much not the case. Soon after, people realized that the paper
He should take his own advice and not let his dreams be dreams. Ooh, more water. Ooh.
bag stunt was engineered by LaBeouf alongside Finnish artist Nashta Ronko and British artist Luke Turner, who formed a performance art trio. Their next collaboration was titled #IamSorry, which began only 2 days after the Berlin premiere. The piece was an installation that ran for 6 days, and involved Shia sitting in a room in an art gallery, wearing the same bag from the red carpet and crying silently. The titular apology was in reference to a recent accusation of plagiarism against the actor, who had directed a short film that viewers quickly noticed was an almost exact adaptation of a graphic novel by Daniel Clowes. Oddly, his initial apology for this accusation seemed to have been lifted word for word from a Yahoo Answers post. The main goal of the exhibit was to put a human face to the online abuse that Shia had received, and many journalists who visited the installation, after waiting outside for days, noted that it had a profound emotional effect on them. But the vulnerability of the performance also opened LaBeouf up for harassment from attendees, which quickly spiraled out of control.
Can I take the bag off your head? Wow. Okay, it's you.
The actor later revealed that a woman sexually assaulted him during the performance, although his fellow artists had intervened when they learned what was happening. This did not, however, stop future collaborations, although LaBeouf was also starting to make headlines for more personal matters. We'll learn more about this after a brief word from our sponsor. Fun fact, there are 7.5 billion humans in the world that could be playing Raid Shadow Legends right. Find your rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only.
No Raid Shadow Legends. Come on, dude. That said, if I was given a Raid Shadow Legends sponsor, I'd probably take it. I'd make a whole video just repeating the same ad over and over for an hour. Let's go.
For Shia LaBeouf's early career, he had his dysfunction, but it...
I thought about doing that for Audible, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Brando Sando makes some good points with that. The next 30 days only.
didn't tread past the typical Hollywood drama, though things would quickly devolve going into the mid-2010s. Across 2014, a series of public incidents had unfolded showing that the actor's aggression was more than just something he tapped into for work. In January, a video hit the internet of LaBeouf headbutting a man at a pub in London after an argument.
Look, I don't play Raid Shadow Legends, but like, eventually, like, with how often you get their sponsorships, like, they might whittle me down to where, like, you know what, I might as well check it out.
Months later, he was banned from a restaurant in Los Angeles after urinating on its wall. Then footage surfaced of him attempting to get into a fight outside a New York City strip club. In late July, Shia was removed from a performance cabaret in New York's Studio 54 Theater, where he had been smoking indoors and yelling at the actors on stage. Witnesses say that LaBeouf seemed drunk, and he was arrested outside the theater for disorderly conduct, which led to a violent and profane outburst at the police station. Shia had been known to get into bar fights as far back as 2011, but reports like these started to become far more frequent. It's possible that some of this pent-up aggression was the result of the star's intense method acting approach, which he had been in the midst of during the production of Fury. Shia committed so hard to the role of a World War II soldier that he refused to shower for weeks on end, which earned him warnings from co-star Brad Pitt and the film's director. The actor also had one of his teeth removed for the film, and as he told Jimmy Kimmel, every dentist refused to do the removal because it didn't make medical sense. Instead, the actor had the removal done by, as he put it, some guy next to a Radio Shack who didn't ask too many questions. Another co-star, Logan Lerman, said,
Radio Shack, bro, what a throwback.
that LaBeouf would regularly take out a knife and cut his face open on set. During promotion for the film, Shia also discussed finding a new interest in Christianity during filming, after being raised Jewish by his mother and Christian by his father. As he put it, he never had a clear position on religion up until this point in his life. Whether LaBeouf was doing all this for the sake of the character or to capitalize on his eccentric persona is debatable, as he was pushing himself far beyond the usual bounds of method acting. But during this time, he did seem to be taking the steps to get his life on a better track. He was receiving outpatient treatment for alcohol addiction, and he seemed to be on the path to sobriety. He also appeared unafraid to have fun with his public persona. By late 2014, Shia made a surprise appearance as himself in a live music video for Robert Cantor's hit internet song Actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf. A new phase of his career seemed to be underway, and it was largely being defined by artistic experimentation. In 2015, the performance art trio was back together again, continuing their pursuit of bringing emotional authenticity to the internet landscape. LaBeouf was again at the forefront of these performances, such as #FollowMyHeart in March, where the actor's heartbeat was streamed online for 6 days in a symbolic joining of humanity, as well as the World Wide Web. Another piece called #AllMyMovies played out in November, where the actor watched all of his films consecutively, in reverse chronological order, over the course of 3 days while a camera live streamed his reactions. The movie marathon drew a lot of attention and praise from journalists, and the public seemed ready to embrace LaBeouf as a genuine artist. But the most memeable collaboration was #Introductions, a half-hour video that showed a ponytailed Shia performing a series of monologues written by art students in front of a green screen.
Every time I see a man on a motorbike, I think it's my dad. Ebb and flow. Edging closer. Expanding warmth. That point just before the pressure bursts. Running. Reaching. Falling, skipping, turning, sliding, walking. These are all words that describe ways of moving.
The video was released under Creative Commons license, enabling the public to edit the footage freely. One segment, which the actor performed as an intensely aggressive motivational speech, went viral almost immediately and spawned uncountable memes and parodies. It even became the most searched GIF of the year.
GIF?
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
That same year, the actor starred in the music video for Sia's Elastic Hearts alongside a 12-year-old Maddie Ziegler, which drew criticism from the public at the sight of the scantily clad actor dancing so intimately with a dance mom starlet. Perhaps LaBeouf was drawn to the project because the young dancer was a fellow child star whose parents' presence loomed large in her career. Aside from these reports, 2016 was a somewhat quieter year for Shia. Andrea Arnold's American Honey was his only film role, but the actor was still very much in the public eye. Speculation about his romantic life started to spread when Mia Goth was spotted wearing an engagement ring by paparazzi. LaBeouf was later hospitalized after receiving a head injury when a stunt went wrong on set. Eventually, old habits started to reappear when the actor was detained for public intoxication in Austin, Texas. This arrest happened after he had drunkenly run around in the streets and
Shia LaBeouf live? Am I missing something? Am I spacing out too much? I'm probably spacing out too much.
jaywalked in front of a group of police officers who had warned the actor to stop but then subdued him when he continued. Only a day later, it was reported that LaBeouf had gotten married to Mia Goth. Rather than a big Hollywood wedding, the two opted to get hitched at Viva Las Vegas, a tacky hotel known for its themed weddings ranging from gladiators to celebrities. The couple went with Elvis and Hawaiian themes, with the young actress arriving at the ceremony in a pink Cadillac driven by a Presley impersonator. Then, in a career move that surprised everyone, the former Bachelor turned to rap music. He appeared on Sway Calloway's radio show, Sway in the Morning, and dropped a freestyle that showed far more skill than anyone expected.
Get ready, get set, this a meme. This is wild, this a childhood dream. I'm that guy though, all pride yo. Do my thing and stack ride though. I'm at White Oak, the gun club, I mean 1 Oak.
During the interview portion of the show, Shia talked about growing up with hip-hop as a passion before acting, and his friendship with the late rapper Camu Tao, who had walked him through the genre. The freestyle went viral and prompted the actor to make a few more songs, which even led to a supposed beef with rappers Lil Yachty and Soulja Boy, with the latter claiming that Shia was banned from the city of Atlanta. LaBeouf also re-teamed with his performance art collaborators on 2 projects, and one at the Sydney Opera House where people were invited to say anything they wanted into the microphone as long as it began with the phrase, "and in the end." The next year, Shia's public life was mainly defined by political action. Like many Hollywood stars, LaBeouf was displeased with Donald Trump winning the US presidential election, after so much of the campaign trail had been defined by division and anger. In an attempt to counteract this, on January 20th, 2017, the same day that Trump was inaugurated as president, the trio launched their next campaign. #HeWillNotDivideUs. This project was fairly simple. A camera was set up outside the Museum of the Moving Image in New York, with the words "He will not divide us" written above it. People on the street were invited to repeat that phrase into the camera however many times or ways they'd like to. The video was streaming online 24/7, and was intended to do so for the entirety of Trump's presidency. Even if this act of rebellion was small scale, it drew crowds of people daily, including other celebrities like Jaden Smith. At the time, LaBeouf said everyone was invited, and that the central message of the installation was to be nice to each other. Unfortunately, this message didn't ring true for long.
Us must ensure the existence of the white people on He will not divide us! 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 He will not divide us!
The installation quickly began to see an increase in presence from trolls who simply wanted to make a joke out of the project. The live stream was starting to change from a symbol of unity and ironically began to foster the same division that it had been designed to fight against. This all culminated at the end of January when Shia was arrested after assaulting a protester outside the museum, which was, of course, streaming the entire event live.
Divide us. You will not divide us. You will not divide us. You will not divide us.
The exact motivation of this fight is unknown, but the actor was released and the charges were
Fuck you, it's January.
Later dropped. On February 10th, the museum announced it was ceasing its involvement with the project, citing public safety concerns as its motivation for doing so. However, the artists refused to abandon it and claimed that the museum had been ignoring their concerns about hate speech that was being broadcast, and that the organization had cut ties with the installation over nothing more than political pressure. Interestingly, the lawyer who had informed them of the museum's decision also represented Donald Trump. The live stream resumed on February 18th at its new home, outside the El Rey Theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico. However, it was soon shut down after gunshots were reported in the area. Although the incident ended up having nothing to do with the project, the artists were nervous about inciting more violence and wanted to maintain safety above all else. The installment underwent a few changes before the stream began again on March 18th, now showing something very different. A flag with the slogan, "He will not divide us," written on it, waving against the sky in an unknown.
Oh yeah, and then it was Reddit just tracking him down, right? Every time.
Location. This new, more anonymous message was intended to be the new permanent broadcast, but the trolls were back on top of the project immediately. After only 38 hours, the flag was located by a collaboration of 4chan users who used flight tracking.
My bad, I thought it was Reddit.
Airplane contrails, celestial navigation, and other modern geolocation techniques to determine that the flag was located outside of Greensville, Tennessee. On March 10th, one user went to the site, honking his horn over and over again until it was picked up on the live stream. When he found the flag, he stole it and replaced it with a signature red "Make America Great Again" hat and a Pepe the Frog t-shirt. When this theft was discovered, the items were removed and the stream continued broadcasting, but threats against it started to escalate through 4chan and 8chan. A field nearby was even set on fire, forcing the artists to relocate their project once again. The next home they found was on the roof of Liverpool's Foundation for Art and Creative Technology, and the live stream started up again on March 22nd, showing a brand new flag. The trio stated that the international move came after they decided that, quote-unquote, America is simply not safe enough for this artwork to exist, but they had underestimated the perseverance of international 4chan users. The very next day, a group of individuals gained access to the roof, although they did not manage to steal the flag. After this trespassing, the artists moved their piece once again. The stream would remain inactive for months as the artists searched for a new location, which was likely not easy to lock down, given the project's notoriety. On October 16th, the stream resumed with the iconic flag now situated on the roof of Les Lieux Uniques in France, a center for contemporary art. But it only did so peacefully until the 25th, when a drone carrying a flaming piece of cloth was flown to the roof to unsuccessfully
Okay, that feels a bit extreme there.
set the art piece on fire. The flag was later moved to Poland for an art exhibition, then back to France for the remainder of its run. Despite the project's long and storied history, it was able to continue streaming for the rest of Trump's time in office, and the broadcast ended on January 20th, 2021, when Joe Biden was inaugurated. While He Will Not Divide Us had been unfolding, Shia himself remained a topic of public fascination due to more outbursts and arrests. In April 2017, a video surfaced of the actor drunkenly screaming at a bartender in a Los Angeles bowling alley, calling him a racist for unknown reasons.
They hit me with a Grey's bottle about French fries. You racist bitch.
He also raged about the
"You racist bitch."
bartender not serving him French fries before storming out of the building.
Bro, I'd get angry if people didn't serve me French fries too. Like, bro, now I want French fries.
Then returning when he realized that he was still wearing his bowling shoes. The server, David Bernstein, filed a $5 million lawsuit against the actor for defamation and assault, claiming that Mr. LaBeouf had used the word racist to incite anger from other patrons against him. Shia tried to have the lawsuit thrown out of court, but it persisted. In June, a far more damaging incident occurred. The actor was once again arrested for disorderly conduct and public drunkenness in Savannah, Georgia, after asking someone for a cigarette and then yelling profanely in front of families when he refused. A police officer intervened and Shia tried to run to a nearby hotel, but he was arrested in the lobby and body cam footage showed that he did not go quietly.
So we're not gonna have a conversation? No! Okay. You gonna put these shits off my arms or you be f***ing I came up to you trying to be nice, you stupid bitch. I came up to you asking for a cigarette, you dumb f***. Why would I ask for a cigarette if I was racist, you stupid bitch? They got cameras everywhere, you dummy. I got more millionaire lawyers than you know what to do with, you stupid bitch.
From there, the arrest took an
What an angry person, damn.
Unexpectedly racially charged turn, with the actor telling a white officer, "You put your own kind in the pen," after threatening him by saying, "If I had my gun, I'd blow your shit up." Upon arriving at the station, he told a black officer that he was going straight to hell, and that he had been arrested simply for being white, another accusation of racism that seemed to come from nowhere. He also verbally abused another white policeman, telling him that his wife fantasized about black men.
Hey, you lay down with a wife. What you tell her at night? You know she watches porn. She probably watches X videos and shit, like looking at black. Don't you feel fucked up being white about that? Don't you feel like, man, I ain't got all the goods?
All of this ranting was obviously fueled by alcohol, but it showed that the worst of LaBeouf's aggressive tendencies were still present in his life. The details of this night were surprising to many, especially the crew of The Peanut Butter Falcon, the movie that LaBeouf was in Savannah to film. Production sources said that the actor had shown no signs of being drunk or hungover for the entire shoot, which had been going on for weeks. Shia soon apologized for his words and actions towards the police, saying that the night had been a new low that he hoped was a bottom, and that his public struggles with addiction had reaffirmed his desire to achieve sobriety. He returned to the set the next week, finishing the shoot without any further problems. He later pleaded guilty to the charges from his arrest and was sentenced to anger management and 1 year's probation. 2018 was a much quieter time for Shia, at least on the public front, probably due to a desire to stay out of the tabloids. However, he did face some more personal turmoil. In September, it was announced that he and Mia Goth were separating, and he began a relationship with British musician FKA Twigs. The relationship would last for about a year, and would later come back to haunt LaBeouf. 2019 was a year of artistic reinvigoration for the actor, with the release of 2 films that made the most of his dwindling star power. The second was far more personal, as LaBeouf had written, produced, and starred in it. Honey Boy follows an alcoholic movie star reflecting on his past as a child actor, whose career was greatly shaped by his abusive father, played by LaBeouf. The actor obviously based the key pieces of the film on his own life and experiences, and talked openly about the challenge of playing this complicated recreation of his own dad. Later on though, Shia said that the abuse depicted in the film was all his own invention, and that his own father had never hit him. Still, their relationship had been strained, and they hadn't spoken to each other in 6 or 7 years before the film was made. It was likely to remain that way, as the actor mentioned that during a phone call with his father, he claimed to realize that the troubled man would have to live with a certain narrative about himself for the rest of his life. In 2020, Shia's life turned tumultuous yet again. He got a permanent full-chest tattoo for a part in a movie called The Tax Collector, maintaining his deep commitment to method acting.
Why?
Unfortunately, this
Method acting is such a stupid thing, because it's just a reason to be a dick. And like, it's not even like to help him in this situation is just it's just to torture himself.
Film received a much more negative response from critics, leading many to joke about the tattoo being a miscalculated publicity stunt. But soon, an influx of negative press started to overshadow any goodwill from his performances. In September, the actor was charged with misdemeanor battery and petty theft after allegedly fighting a man and stealing his hat, and was again sentenced to anger management therapy. He also left the cast of Olivia Wilde's upcoming psychological thriller Don't Worry Darling, and was replaced by...
Did that come out, like, in the last month? Oh, of course it did, because it came out in 2022, and it's 2023 now.
Harry Styles. Wilde later claimed that Shia's departure was due to the actor's combative energy on set, but he refuted that claim, stating that he quit the production due to insufficient rehearsal time. LaBeouf also released a series of text messages and videos that he had received from Wilde to back up his argument, contributing to the film's already troubled marketing campaign without even appearing in it. Then the greatest blow to Shia's reputation yet appeared in December when FKA Twigs sued him for sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress over the course of what she described as a relentlessly abusive relationship. She also accused LaBeouf of knowingly inflicting her with a sexually
Dude, he looks like he's wearing a cartoon sweater.
Transmitted disease. The actor's response to the allegations was simultaneously direct and vague, describing himself as abusive to himself and everyone around him for years, but also claiming that many of the allegations were untrue. Once again, the actor's personal and professional lives were colliding, and this time his response was to retreat from the public eye. His brief relationship with actress Margaret Qualley also ended, with the young actress voicing her support for FKA Twigs, although she reported no abuse in her own relationship with Shia. In early 2021, LaBeouf parted ways with his talent agency and sought out inpatient rehab treatment, and the public would hear very little from him until 2022. In the wake of the accusations and his treatment, Shia's career stalled for a couple of years, but it never truly stopped completely. His next film role would be in Padre Pio, about the famous friar in the Catholic Church. This led him to convert to Catholicism. He also revealed that his mother passed away, and his final moments with her helped him see the importance of religion in a new light. In an interview with Bishop Robert Barron, the actor opened up about contemplating suicide when the allegations against him came out, but he found a sense of community and peace in the religion that helped him face his actions. Mel Gibson was apparently instrumental in this journey, and LaBeouf probably took some advice about career revitalization from him as well. He also gave credit to Mia Goth, who had reached out to him during his stay in rehab, and the couple reconciled and welcomed their first child soon after. On a podcast with his Fury co-star John Bernthal in April, Shia finally addressed the allegations directly. Rather than his previous vague response, he was open about the details of his relationships, admitting that he had been abusive, manipulative, and had cheated on every woman he'd ever been with. He also credited his accuser with saving his life to an extent, as it allowed him to begin a real journey to self-improvement. The public face that LaBeouf is now showing the world is much quieter, more thoughtful, and remorseful. We will have to wait to see, though, if it will last. So there you have the story of a troubled actor trying to find his way in life. And with that, I think I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.
Click, 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 click. Alright,
Hi again, guys. I have a guest with me today. You may or may not believe it, but this is my editor.
Alright, let's go.
Hi again, guys. I have a guest with me today. You may or may not believe it, but this is my editor.
It's Kirby.
Hey! I know, right? Oh my god, a woman, that's crazy. This is somebody I found off Fiverr, and then we're gonna see, you know, if they have anything worth looking at. I don't know. I don't have high hopes.
Honestly, it's an honor to be here. I'm so glad you found my rig on Fiverr. Is that what it's called?
I didn't pay you here to, like, talk. I paid you to click the link.
I I get fine. Oh, stop it! I'm not a real person. Okay, there we go.
God damn. What the hell going on? Somebody packing it up? What the fuck?
I didn't see this one, and we're watching it together now, Nitro. Enjoy it with me, Coffee Bean.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
So how did you expect this to be able to go with the video with the copyrighted SZA music playing in the background? Yeah, you didn't think, did you? Yeah, let's go! Holy shit, that's the stuff I like to see.
How did this happen in my living room? Like, what kind of paradigm are we in to where that can happen?
It's actually quite scary.
Yeah, I don't like how many people probably walk around and look like I do.
I don't know. I would love to be my doppelganger, Loki. I think that'd be cool.
For me, I've been seeing them a lot these past few years. You've been making a lot of insensitive comments, which I guess the whole woman thing was like a fair trade, but I'll give you one homophobic joke. Go for it.
But it's so easy to say.
Use this, I just realized.
Are they all like this? Are these all unusable?
Quick, stop what you're doing. It says gullible on the ceiling. Look.
It didn't.
Now I have a question. Where did your lungs go?
What?
It's what? It's still just wooden beams in a vent.
Do you get it?
No. I just looked up and I thought it was gone. Hey, look, it's me. I do know this bit.
It says gullible on the ceiling.
Oh, you stole my lungs.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. What is that? Bro, is that a Dunkin' Donut?
It's okay. I giggled, I guess.
It was funny. I made you laugh. I made you giggle. Sorry, I take that as a win.
You don't push it, okay? Let's not oversell it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's not call it laughing when it wasn't that. No, that's not what I said. I simply didn't say that.
No. You can just say you hate women.
That's not something I
hate women.
Do.
You hire a woman. You hate women. What else?
4-letter words that begin with H. It's basically the same. Wait, is this really him, or is this one of them lookalikes?
No, it's him.
I took the walk to Poland. I took the walk to Poland.
These guys suck at singing. They should never try music. They suck at that. Sorry, am I being too negative? I feel like I'm just not really setting a good mood right now.
I'm not really digging your negative energy. I don't fuck with that.
Okay, you could have said it a little nicer, but I understand.
Okay, this one, I felt violently ill and disgusted by it, and I think you should suffer too. And everyone else watching, you are gonna suffer and watch this like I did.
If there's no kissing men in the middle, it wasn't worth it.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, what is that? What is that? Is that a bug? Or like a fucking, like, pill-sized bacteria? That's insane. I didn't just puke in my mask. That didn't happen. Oh, it's, the bald guy.
He seems familiar. I can't quite...
It's the guy from, it's Walter White Jr. That's the one, yeah.
Put my finger away.
Dean Norris, the guy who, he has, like, the really happy face and then the really mad silhouette face.
Yeah, actually, it's at Saul Goodbeams 1.
Yeah, Dean Norris is from Breaking Bad, so I think this might be the guy.
Maybe.
Now, word around
Let's check it
town
out.
is that you're a furry. You gonna bark for me? Come on, do it, dog!
Are you furry?
What? Why are you...
Nothing.
Why are you asking such a dumb question like that? God, you're really embarrassing yourself right now, Nina.
I'm asking...
Bark Nitro. Wolf. Say it.
For the people.
Should have stayed behind the premiere file. Just saying. The camera's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody can handle the pressure.
I'm bitching
it's
on
okay.
Premiere. No, that's fine. I'll stay in my lane.
Ooh, Nina's a robot. You're not a person. That's how I think of you, at least. You're just like a tool to get my videos done.
Pause. Is it because it's a dog? Are you calling me a bitch?
No, that
No.
word never left my mouth in that sentence.
No, it's fine. Whatever.
I think of you as a robot, Nina. Not that that's much better. This seems the fucking Pikachu dude for no reason.
Is that Morty? Wait, that's Morty over there.
Wait, Morty? No, you're
not Morty.
Right. I sounded like him for a second. Wait, got one. I thought I had a fart, so I stuck my microphone up to it, but nothing came out.
This is also a very epic video.
Is this one of them, like, sexual innuendo ones?
Hey, cuties.
Little froggies.
I am terrified of frogs. I don't trust those things.
You're scared of frogs?
Not scared of, just wary of. I'm cautious.
Why?
They're plotters, schemers even. Have you ever heard the term boiling a frog in water?
No.
So if you want to boil a frog, you don't have to try that hard. You just have to put a frog in a in a pot over an unlit fire that is room temperature, normal for the frog. And over time, you incrementally, slowly heat it up. That way the frog never realizes that something is wrong. And by the time like you boil it, the frog won't have moved and will just get boiled alive. I forgot what the point of that metaphor was, but that happens. It's pretty cool.
I don't know if I wanted to know that actually. That was just very sad.
Everyone tells me I changed. I shit my pants. I had to change.
Do you think he knew what he was saying? I'm tired of shitting my pants. I gotta change.
He did change. I was thinking about this. It's still crazy that they're still together after all that shit.
Is this a pun that just like flew over my head? It just is, right?
No, it's weird that like they're still together after all that shit.
Stop it. I'm gonna just ignore you.
Can you just say who? Just say who.
Who?
My ass cheeks.
Don't like you. I don't like.
I stole that from a stream clip, man. I love Robin jokes.
It's because you're not funny.
Come on, man.
I'm holding an L to you right now, but you don't know that. But you know.
Thank you.
You take that.
Yeah, bitch. I'ma go touch that bitch. Shawty gon' suck this dick. Shawty gon' suck this dick. So pull up, bitch. Off the butt.
I forgot the rest. This was in the Try Not to Cringe challenge I did, and I did the same thing. It's good. It's gold every time. Oh.
It's so satisfying. Look at that. That is beautiful.
Oh my god.
Now ready? Ready? The best part, the best fucking part.
Mad news.
Come on. Let him have it.
What?
Legend.
Oh, I did that with the sounding rod in my deck the other day.
Really?
It came out as clean as that, then smashed it because it was so brittle. That might be too much.
The trains got delayed over the snowball fight happening.
Why would the snow fights delay it?
Because the trains can't pass.
It's a fucking snowball.
You know what? I don't know. That is a good question.
Are you sure it wasn't the snow on the tracks? Can you imagine they like fucking see like little white projectiles getting slung across the track and they're like, oh, those are clearly grenades in the middle of downtown London. Like that, yes, of course.
Dude, anything in London will be taken as a bomb. Like any unidentified object is a bomb in London.
Bro, if you see a real gun here, you don't say a word about it. You get over it. This is why England is the best. Someone named R. Kelly would say that. Is R. Kelly's first name Robert? Because I feel like it is.
Well, it should be like Matthew. Oh.
Whoa! That's unfortunate.
Robert Sylvester Kelly.
Like this dude's named after a cat. That's insane.
I have a fair warning that a lot of these are cute animal videos because that's a lot of my For You page.
Could you find something funny like asked?
It's cute. Look at it. It's just...
If I wanted to see a cat eat pizza, I would just give mine pizza.
Yeah, they're gonna go down with a cat, but yeah.
Was your plan to show me people more talented than me to make me feel bad about myself? Because it's working.
Oh, so he likes Steve Lacy. Acoustic little ticker.
Acoustic little, yeah, that's pretty good.
Craig, unfortunately, your blade did not make the cut. Please surrender your weapon.
Blade, see you, Drina.
This experience was harder than I thought it was going to be. I need about 3 gin and tonics, and I'm just going to make a bad man in the back of my head go away.
Craig,
dude, that is fucking heavy. Can I tell you the funniest story I have relating to Blade? I was talking with like music with one of my friends. I think we were talking Marvel and also music at some point.
No, you can just say you hate women.
I'm not, that's not something I hate women.
No, you can just say you hate women.
Nitro's great.
Like the conversation switched and I'm like, Black Panther's great, but I mean it wasn't like the first black superhero. Blade's black. And fucking my friend was like, no he's not, Blade is white. And I'm like, are you insane? And we were thinking of very different Blades.
Oh wait, who's oh my god,
it just happened to you too. Oh my god, this is incredible. I need this to be suitably disgusting, otherwise this will be
look at the fucking state of this, lads. Fucking sausage sandwich. Who the fuck wants that shit? Fucker.
You know, I actually like this one because there's an account I follow called Punching Burger.
He hates women.
and it's what you think.
That's the most American thing I've ever heard.
It's an account called Punching Burgers. It's on the tin.
Fuming with Greggs.
Look at the fucking state of this, lads. I've just got myself into Greggs. I asked for the fucking steak, mate. They give me a sausage and bean melt. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off.
I think that's a good spot to wrap up. Nina, thanks for coming on the channel from Stepping Up From Behind the Screen. It was great having you, allegedly.
It was a delay. Allegedly. Okay.
It might have been good having you on. I'm not gonna...
Ah, stop it. Thank you.
Gaslighting my employees. Holy shit. Yeah, have a subscribe. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's watch this Minecraft hardcore video. Maybe we'll go play some Minecraft hardcore. Someone text Khadgar and get him in here. Wait, what? What the fuck am I missing? Alright, let's do... What's the... Oh. Okay.
My base is hideous, and it desperately needs an upgrade. So let's turn it into the ultimate cottage.
You're not quite enough. You're not quite enough to do that. What the fuck do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Core forest complete with massive mountains, lush rivers, and most importantly, giant mushrooms.
Dude, fucking same. Let's go mushrooms.
Before we start building anything, I'll need to obtain the materials required for this monumental project, meaning complicated farms requiring a lot of comparators and observers, so I'll need a bit of quartz. Like this pile that I'm standing on.
Yeah. Like that
I need to mine it. Let me just clean up some of this rubble. Goodbye. Yes, everybody's favorite mechanic in all of Minecraft. Trampling farmland by jumping on each block very slowly. I do still need to rip out all of this podzol and replace it with a bit more greenery, so I should really make a bone meal farm which doubles as a moss farm, doing the big brain 2 stones with 1 bird thing. And I shall build it over here in my oceanic industrial area. I don't really have a name for this place. It's just where all the farms go that I need but don't want to have around all the time. Hey, what's he doing over there? Doesn't matter. I need concrete.
Oh my god.
And that should be enough.
See, that's why I don't want to do more Minecraft. That's fun.
It's a little laggy when it runs, but it's working great. If you look closely, you can see that all of the signs in this farm have the names of viewers who are watching the live streams. Yes, I do stream all of this, and I archive all of the streams on my channel, so you can go back, watch the...
Whoa, look at that. Same. Go check the live stream section of the YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Share it to your friends, family. Just share it around. I don't care how much you share it around. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Let's go. Whoa, well, yeah, yeah, woo. Yay.
The hundreds of hours of work if you'd like, except for the 24-hour stream, because I didn't realize it at the time, but YouTube doesn't save streams that are 11 hours or longer. Isn't that quirky? Now I made the bone meal farm.
Right, let's go check that real quick. Let's just open link a new tab, and then let's go to live, and then we scroll down. Keep scrolling just a little bit farther. Bro, where the fuck's my 24-hour stream? Casual arc stream. Learning music. Okay, it is gone. No. What? 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 Oh my god, there's just so many live streams. Damn. Alright, no, I looked at it the other day. Because it was, like 21 hours, 52 minutes, and like 56 seconds, something like that. That's so weird. Because it was good. It was good. No. Oh well. Oh, okay. I guess it's right still. Lame.
I'm there for two important reasons. One, so I can run the fungus farm that I built where I was just standing, and two, so I can run the absolutely insane fungus tree farm designed by Krebs where I'm currently standing. I just noticed this weird lighting bug over here.
Weird.
Yeah, this farm produces an incredible amount of items, so hopefully this amount of shulker loaders is enough. Let's turn it on and see what this thing can do. It's not enough. Yeah, so apparently this makes like 300,000 items per hour. So my very naive storage approach is, shall we say, not even remotely good enough. So let's tear it down and build something better. I've given myself quite a lot of space to replace the single speed loaders with 6x loaders, and I finally have a good reason to use Rapscallion's absolutely beautiful stack separator, which altogether looks something like this. So let's build it. Turns out I have all of the materials except powdered snow. Now let's build it.
Nitro, are we feeling this video? Or I don't think we're feeling this video. Let's summarize Words of Radiance, the Stormlight Archive. Oh no, I definitely would. Oh no, here we go. Here's the best video we could possibly watch. I don't feel Minecraft or awake. Okay, that's fine, it's fine. We'll do
This
something
episode
better.
of Moist Meter brought to you by Godslap Issue 2. Go to godslapbook.com to order your copy now.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Chainsaw Man. This anime had more hype around it than if they announced a sequel to the Bible. Everything about anime this season
True. That's because Chainsaw Man's amazing.
Was geared towards how great Chainsaw Man was going to be. I couldn't stop hearing about it. People keep recommending it. And it was being animated by MAPPA, so all of these things put together into a beautiful stew was a recipe for hype. So I went into this show with very high expectations, and I'm happy to say I wasn't disappointed at all. The show's just really good. Now, this plot isn't anything super unique or special. It's a very simple, very standard storyline. There's devils out there, and there's people that hunt them. So we follow the devil hunters. Our protagonist has fused with the chainsaw devil, so he's got a dangly little ripcord on his chest, and when he's ready to, you know, beat and eat some ass, he yanks the ripcord and has chainsaws shoot out of his arm and out of his head, and then he just absolutely gores everything around him. The story isn't anything incredible, but the characters are really fun. It's just unapologetically goofy. For example, the main character, Denji, is just this extremely horny kid whose main motivation is squeezing tits for a long time, and then
Because he's relatable.
he gets his first kiss, but the girl that kissed him pukes in his mouth. Like, it's not afraid to be over the top and silly, but also self-aware. And this show has spawned a hornier community on Twitter than Genshin Impact. I swear to God, this show must have changed people's entire lives, because there are so many accounts that are dedicated to just talking about who they want to fuck and why they're their favorite girl and this and that.
That's why Kobeni's the best girl.
Like, it's a full-time job for some of these people to thirst over the anime characters in this one. But of course, the main selling point of Chainsaw Man has always been, as I understand it, its action, which is brought to life beautifully by MAPPA. MAPPA has done so much work over the last couple years. They've said yes to like every anime project imaginable. Like, if there's been even whispers of a manga being adapted into an anime or a new season of an anime needing another studio, it's always MAPPA that raises their hands to do the work. They're like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They can't turn down any roles, but unlike The Rock, every role MAPPA takes is a fucking hit. Like, they only make bangers. They've done so many anime over the last couple of years. I don't know how they haven't spread themselves out too thin and had the quality.
I mean, they have spread themselves too thin, but like, quality's still good for the most part.
You know, suffer for it. But somehow they're able to keep up an incredibly high level of quality, the best in the industry oftentimes, and all that talent's put on full display with Chainsaw Man. The action is amazing. Every time there's a fight, it's over the top, it's gory, and it's so great. And it goes hard. It goes so fucking hard. I love that the main way of fighting for people that aren't the main character, Denji, is through contracts with devils. So a lot of the devil hunters, well, all of them, have contracts where they can use other devils' powers. So one of the devil hunters has a contract with a ghost devil where she has a little ghost arm that she can use to strangle and blast people. There's a cursed devil that another main character uses. It's a really fun way of fighting that keeps it fresh, where everyone has very unique ways of approaching combat. And they spared no expense when it came to the animation. They didn't take any cheap ways out.
I will say Chainsaw Man, the art style is little bit more minimalist than most other anime, at least that I've seen. It's not like a cartoon by any degree. Like, it's not that minimalist, but like, there's not a lot of detail going on, like clothing or anything. It is very much just like, here's the color they're wearing, here is the shape of their clothes, and their body and hair, etc. That's it.
Is very clearly a lot of work going into it to make it look the best that it can, and it really pays off.
Shading, but
the show's just great.
Amount.
I don't have any major complaints about it. I have like a couple minor nitpicks, but none of it's like important or detrimental to the overall show. I think oftentimes it gets lost in its own horniness with its main character, so sometimes that gets a bit grating. But it's never to a point where I don't like the character or anyone around him. And it's one of the few anime where the humor sometimes lands for me. Oftentimes when anime tries humor, it doesn't really make me laugh. but I actually did have a couple giggles throughout Chainsaw Man, so that was a pleasant surprise and pretty refreshing. It just doesn't really fall into like anything I expected from a mainstream anime. Like, of course it has tons of cliches and tons of tropes, but it never like overuses it or has it overstay its welcome. Everything in this show is mainly geared as a vessel towards more over-the-top and fucking beautiful action, and I really just appreciated that. Now, there's only 12 episodes of this season, which is a little disappointing because shows like Jujutsu...
I was expecting 26 episodes, and I was very disappointed when I learned there's only going to be 12.
Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, both of which had comparable levels of animation quality, as well as very similar levels of hype. Both of those had 24 and 26 episode long seasons. Season 1 of Demon Slayer was 26 episodes, Season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen was 24, and it was able to hold this intensity, like this full fucking nuts to butts action. And
I don't think Chainsaw Man could have done much longer, because then it would have been almost entirely through with its source material. I think, like, the arcs are not that long. We went through like 4 or 5 arcs in 12 episodes. Like, that is hella fast. Like, that's almost breakneck speed. And like, the pacing was great. It didn't feel like it was, like, everything just kind of flowed together. It's great. Great pacing. But like, if you look at it objectively, that was like kind of breakneck.
Jaw-dropping animation for a long time, whereas Chainsaw Man's very bite-sized. Like, it's giving you an appetizer. So I'm hoping that it can continue this level of quality. I hope it doesn't like fall off and...
What do you think wrong? Kobeni is the best girl, you hoe.
You know, suck shit, because that'd be tragic. But yeah, it is just a little underwhelming that it's such a short season. I would have liked more episodes because it's just so good, and I would have really liked more time to get drawn into the entire universe and see more of it. But it's still extremely good. Plugging it in the moist meter, I'm going to be giving it a...
Well, okay, in hindsight, that's the worst sentence I've ever typed.
90%. I do highly recommend it, especially if you like shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer.
What's the hindsight,
So yeah,
Nitro?
lived up to the hype, so I was satisfied. That's about it. So yeah. Godslap is a comic book series.
What the fuck was the hindsight? Stop thirsting for Kobeni. I'm not thirsting for her. I'm just saying she's the best girl. Now, we move over to a deep dive into anime waifu.
I've been a fan of anime for a long time. I find it...
Let's go, guys. Shit.
to be one of the most expressive and interesting forms of media currently in existence, being capable of beautiful visuals, complex characters, and stories that I can honestly say have changed my life. And yet, it gets a bad rap. Though anime is more mainstream than ever, there are still parts of the community that have a massive stigma around them. Parts that are dismissed as weird, despite people not even knowing where they came from. In a previous video, I covered fan service, both its history and its relationship with the media it's up.
Why do you quit the stream? You need to learn about the deep dive of waifus, Nitro. Come on, bro. Nah, see. We're gonna learn together about waifus. Like, come on, dude. Why you quit the stream? You're a fucking weeb. Like it or not, you read way too much manga to not be one. No, well, we don't need Nitro anyways. They're mean.
Part of. And while that video was titled A Deep Dive, it may as well have been into a kiddie pool compared to the ocean I found myself lost in trying to research what I'm talking about today. I have read novels, dug up decades-old forum posts, and studied anthropological papers, all centered around one topic, all trying to answer one question. Why do people like waifus so much?
And the best is Kobeni. Oh my god.
To those unfamiliar, the word waifu is a Japanese borrowing of the English word wife. In Japan, a lot of the time, when there's no Japanese word to describe something, they'll use what's called loanwords, where they just take a word from another language and adapt it phonetically into Japanese. Other common loanwords are convenience stores being called konbinis, and my favorite—
Look, it's konbini. Konbini, same thing.
professional wrestling being called puroresu. The word itself dates back to the 80s, when the common Japanese word for one's wife at the time was kanai, which literally translated to inside the house. It said the younger generation at that time were upset by how that sounded, and so came up with the word waifu as a more neutral alternative. However, the term did not receive its association with anime until around 2002, with the show Azumanga Daioh. Azumanga Daioh is a comedy anime about this ensemble cast of schoolgirls in their everyday lives. Episode 15 of the show, the one important to this conversation, is a classic sports festival episode. And in one scene early on in the episode, the girls are discussing what events they'll be participating in and what costumes they should wear for the big cheerleading event. And, well, this happens.
それには一つ提案がありまして。今回はこの不思議なバトンがポイントでして。
なんだ？女の人の写真。綺麗な人やな。誰？
My wife.
Now, the usage of waifu here is completely normal, or at least it's used in normal context. A character is referring to their wife, and they use the word waifu. But it is from here that we can directly trace the lineage of waifu to the larger anime community, as a lot of people began to use the phrase
My waifu
as a sort of meme phrase that eventually became the popular title for one's favorite character. Also, just for fun, here's the English dub of that very same scene for comparison, mostly just because they use the regular English word wife, which I think ruins the joke.
It's a photo of a woman. She's a real pretty lady. Who is it?
My wife.
The spread of the term waifu from Azumanga Daioh then came primarily in the form of anime fans on online forums, 4chan's /A anime forum being the most popular. It's hard to find any exact references or archives of anything posted right after that episode, since a lot of archives don't go back that far, and browsing 4chan this much has already put me on an FBI watch list. But I did uncover some archive posts on 4chan from 2008 where people talked about waifus in different contexts and even used the exact phrase my waifu to refer to their favorite character. The earliest post I could find online was actually on the Anime Suki forum from 2006, which uses it in a thread talking about characters from Rosen Maid. And it's around 2007 that the first entry for waifu was put into Urban Dictionary. According to all this, plus Google Trends graphs showing the term's popularity starting around 2007, it's safe to say that that's when waifu, as we know it, took off. Interestingly enough, it's also in 2007 that the oldest archived usage—
It's also when Transformers came out. It all comes back to Shia LaBeouf. Let's go.
—of husbando was recorded, in reference to Lock-On from Mobile Suit Gundam Zero. Husbando, as you can imagine, is just the male equivalent to waifu, so discussion about it is mostly the same, and I won't really be talking about the differences since this video is long enough as it is. So waifu was
It is very long.
popularized as a term in 2007, and its usage hasn't changed much at all since then. It just became more and more popular and well known, to the point that it actually stopped being a term for one's real wife entirely and became solely used to refer to fictional characters, along with another term, orinayome, which also means my wife and is used in Japanese a bit more often. Anyways, while the meaning of waifu remained loosely as a fictional character I like, the usage of it online became heavily split, with even those early 4chan posts being half ironic uses of the word and half sincere. It wasn't uncommon for someone to post a picture of some random person or character with the caption my waifu. And this ironic association of the word does lead to some confusion and mystification surrounding those who are sincere. A good example being the subreddit r/waifuism, where people post about characters they are
Waifuism, that sounds like a whole ass religion.
Are actually in love with and show themselves going on dates with them or buying merchandise related to them. Now, some people might want to believe that these are all ironic posts, that it's all one big bit that 50,000 people are somehow participating in, and that nobody could possibly develop real feelings for an anime character. But I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. Many people have genuine feelings for fictional characters. Even outside the thousands on Reddit, there are most likely millions of people worldwide who would say they have something that you could call a waifu. So I want this video to be a record of waifu culture. I want to cover the entire history and everything that led up to our modern understanding of it. Not only to try and explain how this all started, but also why someone could develop feelings towards an anime girl. And in talking about all this, we can understand the ways people consume media even today. Just a quick plug before we begin though, this video has had some censorship to avoid demonetization on YouTube. If you'd like an uncensored version, go check that out at patreon.com/Lextorious. And with that out of the way, this video is long and in-depth and took me way too much time to make. So just buckle up, grab a snack, and get comfortable. Because the first stop in our journey takes us all the way back to the 1970s. Urusei Yatsura is a manga series written by Rumiko Takahashi that began serialization in 1978, receiving an anime adaptation in 1981 and a remake anime in 2022, which I guess makes this the perfect time to talk about it. The show follows a flirtatious high school student by the name of Ataru, who is, and stay with me for a moment, chosen as Earth's champion by an invading alien race, where he must win a game of tag to save the planet. And the aliens champion for this game just so happens to be a cute girl with colorful hair named Lum. To keep things brief, Ataru wins the game by stealing Lum's bikini top, then loudly asks his girlfriend, Shinobu, to marry him. However, Lum thinks he's asking to marry her, and so now this loser high schooler has a cute alien girl desperately trying to get with him, while he tries to live a normal life, with Urusei Yatsura being roughly translated to those annoying aliens. Looking at Lum, you can see a character designed to be incredibly cute and vibrant, put into a situation where she is uncontrollably attracted to the plain male lead. Her personality is also a combination of cute displays of affection alongside outbursts of comedic violence whenever Ataru is unfaithful to her, with their whole dynamic being a parody of Japanese married couples at the time. The entire premise of the show is pretty blatant wish fulfillment, something that would later transform into the modern harem anime, a genre in which a male protagonist is stuck in some fantastical situation where multiple attractive women want to date him. And with this fantasy, plus Lum's bubbly personality and the fact she only ever really wears a bikini, many fans began to like her. She was dubbed the first otaku dream girl by Jason Thompson in their book Manga: The Complete Guide. And this otaku dream girl moniker is almost certainly used simply because she predates the phrase waifu by several decades. To comment on her influence a bit more, I'll refer to Comiket organizer Ichikawa Koichi, who says Urusei Yatsura had the first harem, and the character Lum-chan. She was a super sex symbol in Japan, what movie stars are to France and America, and was my first love. However, love is a limiting word to describe what most people feel towards characters like Lum. While it might suit someone like Koichi, lots of anime fans are more familiar with another term, moe. Moe, possibly even more so than waifu, is a very hard word to describe. The most apt definition I found is from Patrick W. Galbraith's book, The Moe Manifesto, where he calls it an affectionate response to fictional characters. Basically, moe just refers to any feelings you'd have towards a character you like. The feelings themselves can be a wide array of things, from excitement to attraction to wanting to protect and nurture. A good 90% of the time, it's just some variation of cute, but to say moe means cute would be vastly oversimplifying. As just an example, did watching that clip make you feel something? No. Congratulations, you just felt moe. And if you felt nothing watching it, you should already be able to see how this concept is related to waifu culture. After all,
what the fuck is the supposed to mean?
Moe explicitly refers to feelings for a fictional character. It cannot apply to real people. So to understand those feelings is to understand waifus. But while the concept is already a bit hard to explain, the history is even more convoluted. In fact, the complicated nature of moe is apparent from just the origins of the term itself, because the etymology of the word is actually somewhat unknown. We know how the word probably came to be, but nothing concrete. The most common theory comes from psychologists Tamaki Saito and Ken Kitabayashi, who identify it as stemming from the Japanese word moeru, which means to burn. As the story goes, otaku in the late 90s were trying to use the word to describe their burning passion for a character, but were continually autocorrected to another Japanese word meaning to bud or sprout, which was also pronounced moeru. Thus, moe came into being as a slang term referring to both budding feelings and burning passion. However, regardless of the word's origin, the first uses of the word, like waifu, date back to early internet forums, this time going all the way back to the 90s with online message board 2channel. And I'm not even going to try to find you any examples of it being used there. I don't speak Japanese. But in another paper written by Galbraith, he describes a story about how the term came into popularity in Japan. He says, quote, "The word entered the popular lexicon with Densha Otoko, an otaku who saves a woman from being by a drunk man on the train, and with advice from his fellows on 2channel, successfully courts her." Densha's story was collaboratively created on 2channel on a board for single men between March and May 2004, and became an internet book, a film, a primetime TV show, 4 manga series, and an erotic video. The last episode of the drama, aired in prime time on Fuji TV in 2005, was viewed by 25.5% of the national audience. The protagonist's dreamy recitation of moe became a media phenomenon, encouraging emulation.
ギャルゲーやフィギュアを見たり、イベントがある日はそっちに顔出したり。ギャルゲー？美少女系のゲームですね。実に萌えです。萌え？もう一度お願いします。
And just like that, moe became one of the most popular slang words in all of Japan. However, just like waifu, while the term itself has a relatively recent history, the concept stems from much earlier. So let's go back to 1948. The history of moe actually begins with the manga Lost World by Osamu Tezuka, the creator of Astro Boy. In the sci-fi manga, a scientist creates genetically engineered females out of plant matter. Another scientist befriends one of these plant women, named Ayami, and the two of them are stranded in an alien world and decide to live as brother and sister. As Helen McCarthy, author of a number of reference books on manga and anime, writes on her blog, this is essential moe, an innocent, literally budding girl, a geeky young man with the heart of a hero, and protective instincts to do any father proud. Though it is important to note that while the relationship depicted in Lost World is very nurturing and familial, the female plant girl, Ayami, was also drawn to be physically attractive, because why not? And later, in the late 70s, the manga artist Hideo Azuma would take this a step further. As I mentioned in my fanservice video, shonen just means anime and manga made for boys, and features rougher, masculine characters. Shoujo just means anime and manga made for girls, and features smoother, feminine characters. What Hideo Azuma did was combine the rounded character bodies of Tezuka with the expressive faces associated with shoujo manga to create his own unique style called Bishoujo, meaning beautiful girls. And these cuter characters in manga still primarily made for boys became a massive hit. However, Bishoujo also represents a much bigger shift in the culture of manga than just art style. As in the 60s and 70s, there was a massive change in terms of gender dynamics and consumer practices. As sociologist Kimio Ito explains, in the 1960s, there had been huge social movements in Japan against wars in Asia and our security treaty with America. Going into the 1970s, there was a sense that young men had run out of steam. Even their manga weren't that interesting. On the other hand, girls' culture started to expand rapidly. Consumer culture was on the rise, and with it, so-called cute culture with Hello Kitty and fancy goods. This was also a time when shoujo manga was really maturing. The early 1970s was the peak of the shoujo manga scene in Japan, overshadowing anything going on in shonen manga. Men were searching for alternatives, and this is one of the things they found. So now, in the 70s, even male audiences were reading lots of shoujo with their more personal, emotional stories as compared to the high-octane epics of shonen. And Bishoujo represents a sort of response to this, where it focused on appealing female characters for a male audience while also maintaining that more female-oriented perspective. So for the same reason that this video focuses on moe because it can help us understand feelings for fictional characters, the history is full of shoujo and bishoujo because those are the genres that facilitate those feelings. Which is why the most common type of bishoujo media is bishoujo games, or as you might know them, dating games. Anyways, referring to Galbraith again, fans of bishoujo
Doki Doki Literature Club, right?
characters were among those manga and anime enthusiasts first labeled otaku. The columnist Nakamori Akio, writing in the subcultural magazine Manga Bariko in 1983, used the word otaku to mean something like geek or loser. Azuma Hideo is named explicitly in Nakamori's articles about otaku. And after Azuma, other artists would begin adopting the Bishoujo style, one of the most famous examples being that of Hayao Miyazaki, with characters like Lana from Future Boy Conan and Clarice from the Castle of Cagliostro. However, the most famous character of the Bishoujo boom, and the one who would go on to change the medium, was our good friend Lum. Yes, Urusei Yatsura was not only the birthplace of the waifu, but the anime partly responsible for popularizing Bishoujo as well as moe, as it was a particularly male-centric Bishoujo manga entirely written and created by a female artist, the same one who would go on to make Ranma 1/2 and Inuyasha. Lum's rounded, cute features and attractive appearance played into the Bishoujo aesthetic perfectly, and her romance story with the protagonist massively popularized it within otaku culture. Not only that, but a defining trait of Lum's character is that she continually attacks Utaru as a display of affection, and this would become the birthplace of yet another popular anime trope called tsundere. In case you don't believe me, here's the rest of Koichi's quote from earlier. Urusei Yatsura had the first harem, and the character Lum-chan. Lum-chan is the source of moe, the queen. She's the first tsundere character. So following Lum's legacy, the Bishoujo genre and its aesthetic would seep into the rest of the industry, and this developed in two major ways. In one, the typical male-centric shonen anime were beginning to add more pretty girls and romantic scenes. Most notably, the original Mobile Suit Gundam in 1979 featured a good number of female characters, and Macross in 1982 featured the fictional singer Lin Min Mei, whose romance with the male lead makes up a large portion of the show. The other major development was that shoujo anime started adding elements to attract their new male viewers, leading up to 1992, when Sailor Moon would take off as a mix between the classic shoujo magical girl genre and the more action-packed Super Sentai. And if you don't know what Super Sentai is, it's just Power Rangers. Power Rangers is literally just re-edited scenes of Super Sentai with additional shots of teenagers in high school. In fact, Macross is a series about transforming robots designed by Shoji Kawamori, and his transforming car robot toys would later get rebranded and turned into the Transformers. So if you grew up at a certain time in the 90s, there's a good chance a lot of your childhood media is just reappropriated Japanese stuff. But unlike Transformers and Power Rangers, Sailor Moon was an explicitly Japanese media property that expanded into Western audiences. And though written by a woman for a female audience, it does focus more on action and shonen-type storylines, which made it even more popular among guys, all the while explicitly calling the main character a Bishoujo. I mean, it's in the original title, Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon. And due to Sailor Moon being so popular, I doubt anyone watching this video hasn't heard of it before, it is also one of the key contributors to moe in the mainstream, with anime columnist John Oplager even crediting the inception of the term as stemming from the name of Hotaru Tomoe, a particularly cute character in the show that audiences often wish to protect. From here, the use of moe to describe Bishoujo characters grew more and more popular, with entire genres of anime, manga, and Bishoujo games, all until a tipping point in 1995, with the release of a little-known anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Never heard of it.
So if you've seen my previous video on anime history, you'll know that Gainax, the studio behind Evangelion, is largely responsible for the popularity of fanservice, and so it should come as no surprise that they'd have a hand in the rise of waifus and moe as well. I mean, their first ever animation as a studio, the Daikon 3 and 4 fan films, both starred a distinctly Bishoujo character. So moving forward to Evangelion, they would continue to carry that style. You see, Ava's story focuses on the protagonist, Shinji Ikari, who is a rather meek and mild-mannered teenager that's been thrust into saving the world. He learns he is possibly humanity's only hope in a battle against cosmic entities known as angels, and Shinji must pilot a mech robot to fight them alongside two other pilots named Rei Ayanami and Asuka Langley Soryu. Rei has this timid and cold personality, showing herself to be even more passive than Shinji at times, which is hard to accomplish considering a large part of his character is just him not wanting to do anything ever. But more than that, throughout the series, Rei is shown to have a motherly connection to him, in contrast to her childlike personality, which leads Shinji to continually defend and look after her. Meanwhile, Asuka is hot-headed and determined, which leads to her bullying Shinji and continually teasing him. And even when Asuka later grows to respect him, she remains antagonistic as a way to hide her vulnerability, which just leads to Shinji in turn repressing his budding feelings for her. In this way, Asuka and Rei showcase a split in the personality of the waifu, as personified by Lum Invader, where the cute, innocent side of Lum's personality is taken out and put into Rei, who embodies Moe, a desire to protect and nurture, and the bold, arrogant side is taken out and put into Asuka, who embodies Tsundere, a desire for passion and vulnerability. And both of these girls were written with a more intimate perspective that allowed further explorations of these archetypes, where the series goes in depth into their mental health and emotional states. A large portion of Eva is all of these characters confronting their own trauma and learning to develop relationships with each other. So it should come as no surprise that Hideaki Anno, the show's creator, has stated that he read female-written romance novels to better understand these characters and make them relatable, which just cements the influence of shoujo and the female perspective on waifu culture when the creator of two of the most impactful female characters cites female works as his inspiration. In fact, to say Evangelion's female leads had an impact on anime culture would be an understatement. To this day, both are consistently ranked in the top 5 of any popularity poll conducted on women in anime, and even just discussion of which character is better has sparked massive online debate, formally dubbed as the original Waifu Wars, which should just go to show how well written and popular they both are. As a fun aside, Anno was once asked his opinion on which character he preferred more, to which he responded, "The truth is, I have no emotional attachment to Rei at all." In the midst of making Eva, I suddenly realized I had forgotten her very existence, which seems to undermine everything I just said about how well written she is, but is also hilarious, so I'm gonna keep it in the video. Yet, despite Anno having somehow forgot he wrote one of them, both Rei and Asuka have been instrumental to Evangelion becoming one of the most successful media franchises ever made, being worth an estimated $16 billion. Which makes it almost solely responsible for the rebirth of the anime industry in the late 90s, and the creation of the merchandise economy that Japan has now popularized. Just for reference, the Evangelion franchise is worth more than Game of Thrones, My Little Pony, and Minecraft put together. And all that for merchandise and pachinko machines, partly featuring these two girls. As just one example of merchandise that started to be sold around this time, body pillows, the most commonly associated waifu item, became popular in the late 90s following Evangelion. As Dakimakura, these large hugging pillows, had existed in Japan for quite some time, just as orthopedic pillows existed in the West. So anime merchandisers got the bright idea to slap cute anime girls on the front of these pillows you were supposed to fall asleep with, and it turned out to be a match made in heaven. The massive financial revolution that Evangelion caused in Japan actually caused a major cultural shift in the perception towards moe and waifus, with Rei Ayanami alone being credited by many for starting what was dubbed the moe boom in Japan. Whereas before they were seen as geeks and losers, in only a few short years, otaku were becoming a driving force of Japanese culture and their economy, which you can see exemplified in the national popularity of Densha Otoko. However, the history directly following the moe boom needs just a bit more context, as under the surface of all these popular anime and cute waifus, something had been slowly shifting in the background. Before Evangelion, with the success of moe and bishoujo in the late 70s and 80s, a lot of creators and companies began to catch on to this newfound culture. And this would coincide with a massive economic boom in Japan, where they would essentially be launched into leading the world economy. And so, something interesting happened. The 1980s saw a blossoming of media and material targeting otaku, and this conditioned a pattern of consumption and culture. Eventually, the products began to be designed specifically to elicit an emotional response in the consumer, i.e. to include characters that would inspire moe. Manga scholar Ito Go argues that since the end of the 1980s, characters in anime, manga, and video games became so appealing that fans desired them even without stories. So somewhere along the way, as we just discussed, these characters became attractive to people. And so the stories they were a part of were being enjoyed for the characters first and the stories second. You were no longer a fan of Lum because you liked Urusei Yatsura, you were a fan of Urusei Yatsura because you liked Lum. In their book, Otaku Japan's Database Animals, literary critic Hiroki Azuma actually talks about this quite a bit. They say, as a result, instead of narratives creating characters, it has become a general strategy to create character settings first, followed by works and projects, including the stories. Given this situation, the attractiveness of characters is more important than the degree of perfection of individual works, and the know-how for enhancing the attractiveness through the art of the moe element has rapidly accumulated. Basically, it doesn't matter how good your story is. All that you need to be successful is the ability to create a character that is, in some way, moe. But even further than that, Azuma points out that the characters as a whole aren't what's attractive to people. It's the individual characteristics, like big eyes or frilly skirts or certain personality types. This is what he means by the art of the moe element, and if you can figure out how to put as many of them as possible into a character, you've got a winner. So what all this leads back to is, well, I'll let Galbraith explain. Azuma posits that a turning point came with Neon Genesis Evangelion, an immensely popular TV anime produced by Studio Gainax. Evangelion features a female character named Ayanami Rei, who became the single most popular and influential character in the history of otaku anime. Fans still isolate parts of this character to amplify and re-articulate in fan-produced works to inspire moe. After the success of Ayanami, the focus shifted to fictional characters with moe traits in lieu of story. In works featuring these characters, the original work functions as a starting point in the extended process of producing and consuming.
Welcome to the stream, my dude. How are you doing this evening?
Moe takes place among fans in online discussions and videos, fan-produced comics, cosplay, and figures. And this is very interesting, because it directly explains why words like moe and waifu all began on online forums. Fans of Evangelion or other waifu media would watch the show, feel moe from someone like Rei, and then continue to feel moe as they discussed their waifu online. Then the discussion of their waifu became almost more important to them than the show itself. They could just consume or create fanfiction and fan art about their waifu and get the same feeling as they did watching the show, if they had even seen it to begin with. Because of this, characters no longer needed to have backstory or well-written personalities when fans could just fill in or change that information on their own. And the creators already knew to focus on adding moe elements over good characterization, so the era of moe following Evangelion started to head in a completely new direction. According to Yahoo Japan, in 2003, the market for moe-related merchandise and media was 88 billion yen, which was 1/3 of the entire otaku market at the time. So there was now more incentive than ever to make not only more moe characters, but characters that were more moe. And as we know, somewhere between then and 2007, the term waifu was starting to be used, showing that sort of self-awareness of moe culture and cute girl media. So while tons of shows and studios were all cropping up during this time, and plenty of them were using waifus, to talk about them all would take hours. So I'm just gonna focus on one studio that would exemplify the capitalization of moe and change the culture forever. A studio by the name of Kyoto Animation. Kyoto Animation was founded by married couple Yoko and Hideaki Hata in 1985. As Yoko and other housewives she knew began to paint additional cells for several shows on their own time, which later developed into creating a studio based around support animation. And some of the shows that Yoko and her studio worked on include Astro Boy, SDF Macross, Akira, Evangelion, and you guessed it, Urusei Yatsura. And fun fact that I forgot to mention earlier, Hideaki Anno also worked as an animator on Urusei Yatsura, while founding Gainax. So like everything in the anime industry, it's all connected. However, Kyoto's reputation for amazing support work led to them later being contracted to make adaptations of visual novels like Air, Kanon, and Clannad, all of which being stories that
I love Iron Clannad.
relied on cute girls with the most gigantic eyes you've ever seen being put into melodramatic situations, usually meant to make you cry. So naturally, they were all successful, and Kyoto would follow them up with even more cute shows, like Lucky Star, Clannad After Story, and The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. All three of these shows were massively successful in capturing this newly growing audience of moe-seeking anime fans, with Haruhi in particular being a cultural phenomena in Japan at the time. A poll in 2006, conducted by TV Asahi on the top anime of all time in Japan, placed Haruhi in just 4th place, only behind Evangelion and Full Metal Alchemist, because of course Full Metal Alchemist was at the top of the list every goddamn time. Though Haruhi actually owes a lot of its success to viral marketing in the early 2000s, as the main ending theme for the series, Hari Hari Yukai, became one of the first viral dances that people would film themselves performing online. And so many clips of Haruhi were being posted to this new video sharing website called YouTube that the Japanese Copyright Administration had to step in and request they be taken down. So glad that doesn't happen anymore. And yet all of that massive success and cultural impact is still nothing compared to what Kyoto would release in 2009. K-On! Is a 4-panel manga series that was originally serialized in Hubansha's Manga Time Kurara magazine in 2007. And in 2009, the series would get an anime adaptation from our friends at Kyoto Animation, lasting 39 episodes and 2 OVAs. Following 4 high school girls as they join a band club in order to prevent it from being shut down, the musical slice of life series featured all of the hallmarks of a typical moe show. All 4 of the girls are cute, they do cute things, they're in the genre of cute girls doing cute things. And that's it, just a regular show about high school girls who play musical instruments. K-On! Went on to become the highest-selling anime television series in Japanese history by Blu-ray sold, with 500,000 copies. It would come in 2nd place for most Blu-ray sold in Japan period, only behind Evangelion's first rebuild movie. The show's first and second album debuted at number 1 in the Japanese top music charts, and 2 singles from those albums were certified platinum by the Japanese record industry. K-On! Would win the awards for Best Anime in the TV category, Best Voice Actor, Best Anime Episode, Best Female Character, Best Original Song, Best Voice Actor again, and Best Anime of 2009. K-On! Was so popular that in 2011, electric guitar sales in Japan reached a new all-time high just from schoolgirls going out and buying instruments to emulate the show. And why was it so popular, might you ask? Does the show have a phenomenal storyline or deep and interesting characters like Evangelion? Was it revolutionary to the genre like Sailor Moon, or did it bring something new to the industry like Urusei Yatsura? Nope, it just has some really cute girls doing really cute things.
このお宮のあちこちに牛がいるでしょ。この牛の頭をこうやって撫でるとね、頭が良くなるって言われてるの。
And in fact, you can look no further than the K-On! Subreddit to see exactly why people like it, because all of the posts on there are just different gifs of cute things that happen in the anime, or fan art of the characters made to be even cuter. You want K-On! Girls as Overwatch characters? How about K-On! Girls as Michael Jackson? Or maybe K-On! Girls as Attack on Titan spoilers? K-On! Meets the NWA perhaps? What about one of the girls as 19th century expressionist painting The Scream? Just like we discussed before, now the practice of sharing these characters online and putting them into situations that make you feel moe was more important than watching the show. The show was still good, I mean it won awards after all, but the plot or greater meaning was obviously put aside to focus on maximizing the cuteness of these girls. Which is exactly what Azuma was talking about. Shows that are built on characters first, and characters that are built on being as cute as possible. So it should come as no surprise that exactly 2 things happened following the success of K-On! 1, a billion other shows jumped in line to copy the cute formula and try to recapture the magic, and 2, these shows began to garner criticism for their over-reliance on moe. As John Opliger puts it, these characters no longer evoked moe feelings. They were literally moe characters. Characters that were the physical manifestations of the defining characteristics of the moe movement. They demanded notice and adoration from viewers, rather than passively earning adoration and protective feelings. In other words, these shows knew their appeal was cuteness. They knew that moe was the whole selling point, and that fans just wanted more of it to share online. And the criticism was that they shoved in as much as possible until it became overwhelming if you weren't into it. Now, some people may argue this criticism is a bit harsh, but just as an example, here's a clip.
ゆい、お前何にも分かってない。ミオを見てみろ。ミオほどメイド服姿が似合うやつなかなかいないぞ。黒のストッキング、純白のエプロン、そしてメイドカチューシャ。前へ前へ。そうかいっぱいしてな。なんてな、冗談。
The episode that clip is from also features both a beach scene and a hot spring scene. I know the show is good, again it's won awards, but you can clearly see what they're doing here. So characters like the one Obligor, lovingly described as physical manifestations of moe, would then go on to be dubbed moe blobs, as a sort of passive-aggressive term referring to the fact that a lot of these characters don't have strong features outside of being an amorphous blob of cuteness, and K-On! Would be one of the biggest shows to have its characters deemed moe blobs for obvious reasons. And this represents the sort of final split in the waifu archetype that I mentioned. Now, instead of tsundere and moe characters like Rei and Asuka in one show, you'd have an entire show built around a tsundere or moe character, or an entire cast of girls that were all different flavors of moe. It became increasingly common to take a single personality trait and stretch out an entire anime around it. Though, while tons of shows would come out since K-On!, none would quite recapture the magic like the original, including Love Live, which is just K-On!, but now the high school girls are idols and they have to compete in a pop star competition. I have not seen Love Live. I know it's massive in Japan. I mean, it was ranked the top-selling media franchise for the entire country in 2016, but I just don't care that much. And that general feeling of not caring seems to be a prevalent theme coming toward the end of the 2010s. Not just among video essayists who've spent 3 weeks researching cute anime girl shows for a silly video, but for the anime watching audience as a whole. Because one thing I found very consistent while looking online is that while moe was absolutely massive with the success of K-On!, it seems people don't talk about it nearly as much anymore. The discussion of the topic seems to have died down quite a bit in recent years. And I think the reason for this is almost entirely due to how prevalent moe is in the anime community now. It's just ingrained in the medium itself that there are cute girls who are gonna do cute things sometimes. We as an audience have become desensitized to it. It's now as much a part of anime as shonen protagonists yelling whenever they power up. It might be in every show, but there's not much to talk about. This falls right in line with the massive rise of the ironic usage of waifu. Most people that use the word, which is very popular, don't use it sincerely. It's just become a part of anime discussion. Hot girl equals waifu even if you have zero actual feelings for them, which just leads actual waifu culture to sort of simmer in the background without anyone noticing or discussing it. However, there is still discourse being had over genuine feelings for characters. More than ever, in fact. It's just completely shifted outside of anime and manga. On July 13th, 2011, a YouTuber by the name of Amy Yamato would upload a video titled First Vlog, trying this out. In it, she would try out a popular trend at the time, vlogging, where she would sit down in front of a camera and talk to it about her day. The main topic of the almost 2-minute video was all about her moving back to London from Tokyo and how a lot had changed since she first left. And all of this would be fairly standard vlog content at the time, except for one thing. Amy Yamato was not a real person. She was actually a computer-generated character being portrayed by a real person who would play the character of Amy. And Amy would continue to upload regular vlogs and assorted videos to YouTube without ever acknowledging that she was an animated avatar. Much later in 2016, a channel by the name of Kizuna AI would debut as another fully animated avatar, though this time run by an entire production company named Activate and professionally voice acted by Nozomi Kasuga. And she would be dubbed a virtual YouTuber, or VTuber for short. Kizuna AI would adopt a more classic anime aesthetic than Amy and would upload daily content for several years, though it would only take 10 months for her to reach 2 million subscribers. And by mid-2018, with the release of technology like Live 2D that made avatars available to the public, there would be over 4,000 VTubers uploading on YouTube, with a collective subscriber count of 12.7 million. From 2018 to today, and especially during the COVID pandemic, VTubers would skyrocket in popularity. Full VTuber agencies like Nijisanji and HoloLive would open, creating and debuting dozens of now gigantic channels with millions of daily viewers. And in 2020, VTubers accounted for 38% of YouTube's top 300 most profitable channels, with a total revenue of $26 million. Now, I won't linger too long on the history of VTubers or how they relate to waifus, because honestly, it's a whole different beast that could be its own video. Also, they're real people, so it's a bit harder to talk about them like they don't actually exist. But suffice to say, they are essentially the final evolution of what Azuma and Galbraith were talking about. You now have no story or fiction related to these characters at all because they're just real people putting on shows as these personas. And because they're fully interactive, the continued enjoyment of their character can happen in real time. You don't have to watch their television show or read their manga, you can watch them play Minecraft for 8 hours a day on YouTube. You don't have to look for fan works to continue feeling moe from them, you can directly interact with them through stream chats and comment sections, and communicate with all of the other fans of the character in those same places. The characters are still anime girls with cute designs and high-pitched voices. In fact, a lot of them even crank up the cute factor to a degree that most anime don't dare to, but the interactions with them are interactions with real people, which leads to a much stronger ability for the audience to garner feelings for them because it's essentially merged waifu culture with the already existing relationship dynamic of content creators. All in all, VTubers are the newest continuation of this history we've been discussing, which I find interesting. They are very different in how people engage with them and feel for them, and some might even argue it's impossible to feel moe at all because they aren't entirely fictional, but it is that evolution that fascinates me and is why I bring them up. However, that's where I'll end the discussion of waifu history, because that's about where it ends. We've now reached the current year, VTubers are a currently existing phenomena, and moe and waifus are still going strong. The history is still being made, and I am very interested to see where it goes. So all we can do to continue this video is talk about why all of it was important. Now, I would like to preface the rest of this video by saying that from here on out we start getting into opinion and speculation. While the history of waifus is documented, the psychology and cultural influence really isn't, or at least not as much as it should be. So I've taken it upon myself to fill in the gaps with my own ideas. But I am not a psychologist, I am not a sociologist, I am not any sort of professional that would have a credible opinion on the relationships between people and fictional characters. What I am is a 23-year-old college dropout talking to a camera while sitting in my living room. So keep that in mind with everything I have to say. However, I don't think it takes someone with a PhD to explain, or at least talk about, why someone develops feelings for a fictional character. In fact, if you've grown up in the age that I have, being surrounded by media and characters since birth, then it should be quite self-evident. Humans are empathetic creatures. The sole reason for our survival as a species is because we're able to relate to and communicate with others. And so, going into the modern age, we started to communicate more abstractly. We learned that we could empathize with media like television and movies, we could relate to the characters and their struggles, and we could feel real emotions for fiction. I mean, I know I cried at the beginning of Up, but not only are we able to feel emotions from media, we're able to cry or laugh or feel catharsis from fictional stories as a way to vent those emotions and deal with the real world better. You know, if you've ever gone through a rough breakup, you know it can help to watch a movie that makes you cry. If you're feeling depressed, watching something that can make you laugh is extremely helpful. And love, affection, and intimacy aren't desires that are any different from a desire to laugh or cry. They're still emotions that people need to express and will vent through media if they're unable to feel it in their everyday life, because anime gives you every opportunity to feel those things. It has characters you grow to be very attached to, you see their emotional states in their day-to-day lives, you watch them develop and learn everything about who they are as a person, and they're often people you want to like. So it should come as no surprise that someone can fall in love with an anime character, or take waifuism seriously. It's already normal to grow attached to characters in shows and movies. Loving them or feeling affection towards them is just another step forward. If someone wants to feel intimacy, and anime provides that, then feeling intimate towards a fictional character is a logical conclusion. And it's one that's often a response to the growing turmoil of real life. Unsurprisingly, if you look back at
saying a lot of smart words.
At the history of waifu culture I just covered, all the developments fall in line with a real need to vent emotion. The original otaku of the 60s and 70s were all part of the student movements of Japan. Massive protests on the political left that shook the entire country. And after the exhaustion of these protests, students would go on to find solace in lighthearted shoujo manga and bashoujo. Going into the 90s, Japan had then faced the collapse of their economic bubble. The whole era is referred to as the Lost Decade because the economy crawled to a standstill. So with a newly popular show like Evangelion, people could find escapism that promoted a positive message about connecting with others. Even going into 2011, shortly after the release of K-On!, Japan was hit with Fukushima, the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl that was caused by an even more devastating tsunami. There was now more need than ever for positive media that you could consume to avoid the tension of real life. Who cared if the story was deep or complex? You just needed it to be fun. And throughout all of this, the entire world has become more isolated than ever. The number of people in their 20s and 30s that have never developed real relationships keeps growing, and the feeling of collective loneliness has gotten exponentially worse in recent years, especially in Japan, where the birth rate has fallen so much that the population actually peaked in 2009. So with all that loneliness comes a desire from people to project unreciprocated feelings into something familiar, which can come in the form of a waifu. Though, as it is a common misconception, I do not think that waifuism in moe culture means someone is unable to tell the difference between real and fantastical, or that they treat them the same, but rather just the same way that you can cry at a movie while understanding the character you saw die was fake, waifus are sought after specifically because they too aren't real. As Galbraith states, moe is a desire for the fantastical, not the physical. An attraction to the fantasy form does not necessarily reflect a desire for the physical one. One can have a younger sibling without feeling moe because that person is real and is not performing the character called little sister, or simply because she is not a two-dimensional fantasy. These young characters are not part of the real world and do not demand their partners be socially mature and responsible adults. With moe characters, men can experience love outside the confines of manhood, and women love outside the confines of womanhood. In other words, expressing emotion through fiction is one of the only ways that some types of emotion can even be expressed, especially in the earlier ages of anime, which were tied to more conservative social climates. You surely couldn't express any desire for non-traditional fantasies without being ostracized. So you had to funnel that into moe characters and fiction. And with the advent of otaku culture and later the internet age, people were able to express these non-traditional desires to others without criticism or consequence. And it's because of all this that I don't see an inherent problem with waifus. I don't see a major issue with the process of enjoying fictional characters. As long as people are responsible adults, they should be able to freely express love towards anything they want to. After all, why should it matter so much if someone is in love with a character and wants to share that love with others? Such actions aren't harming anyone, and in fact might be both helping the individual and invigorating the manga and anime industries and fan communities. Love is never an easy thing to understand, and it can be embarrassing to watch the silly things that people do when they are in love, but I for one think we should embrace love rather than condemn it. So, you might be wondering why there's still so much time left in the video.
The problem with waifus, exploitation.
As we discuss the history of waifus, you might have noticed that there is quite a lot of focus on the profitability and consumption of these characters. In fact, several quotes I read even alluded to this idea of profiting off of the emotions of consumers. But now is where I'd like to fully talk about the issue. I mean, just think of the ways that people display their love of a fictional character. They buy merchandise of that character. If you really love this anime girl, the only way to show that you love her is to buy a $250 body pillow of her, or a collection of overpriced figures, or a Blu-ray box set of the show she's from. The only way you interact with this character is through spending more money on her. When you think of someone with a waifu, you inherently think of someone with anime merchandise. And that is all entirely on purpose. I showed this graph in a previous video to discuss how much the anime industry makes, but if you look closely, the biggest slice of this pie is merchandise. That's how most of these franchises make their money back. They either make a profit on Blu-rays or they sell a ton of merch, so they have a financial incentive to create stories that have merchandising potential, and one of the best ways to do that is through waifus. Now, we already talked about how these characters were made more cute with less focus on story, but thinking about it in terms of profit makes it clear that it's an issue. When you know that a waifu with tons of appeal will net you more sales, it becomes hard not to just sell out to that crowd. Why make any character that isn't a cute girl you can sell figurines of? Who cares about story or message or themes when you can just make a cast of moe blobs who sell like hotcakes? Because on the flip side, if you don't make any profit, you probably won't stay in the industry very long as a creator. Then the problem snowballs, because this genuine need to make a profit can very easily slip into exploitation. One of the most predatory extremes of this, and one I've talked about before, being gacha games. Gacha games are built on waifu culture. They will have dozens of cute characters in the roster that appeal to every niche they can think of. They'll give them all backstories and quirky personalities and sometimes even romance options. Then they put up the most egregious monetization strategy to unlock them, where you need to gamble on their virtual slot machine to even see the character you like. They turn genuine feelings of affection people have into a gambling addiction. Some people who take waifus this seriously spend massive amounts of money on them, and some of them might be spending money they can't actually afford to lose, because their emotions for these characters are genuine and the industry is conditioning them into tying their self-worth to these material possessions. Waifu culture is telling them to put their emotional well-being into question if they don't spend enough on their favorite character. After all, How can you love your waifu if you don't own all their stuff? Now, throughout this video, you should have gotten an idea of just how important the female perspective is to waifu and anime culture as a whole. After all, this all started from shoujo manga. Female creators like Rumiko Takahashi or Naoko Takeuchi then pioneered the bishoujo space, and even when it got continued by male creators like Hideaki Anno, the female influence was apparent. However, there are still massive amounts of very male-centric anime. Your typical shonen and seinen, which sort of developed alongside all of this moe and bishoujo, taking a lot of elements and using them in stories that were strictly written by and for men. Now, the history itself isn't that important to the development of waifus, which is why I didn't cover it. Shonen wasn't ever really a leader in the history so much as it caught up to the rest of the community and absorbed certain aspects of it. But the reason I'm talking about it now is because a lot of anime in that space in particular comes with a much stronger appeal to male fantasy, which, when combined with our problem of exploitation and unhealthy behavior, can lead to a bad place. Anyone who has seen enough anime has seen at least some female characters that perpetuate an incredibly warped perception of women. They might be incredibly submissive and meek, seemingly to the point that they wouldn't be able to function without the help of a male counterpart. They might get put into a sort of housewife or maid role, sometimes literally, and they might be a strong warrior that kills 1,000 men in the battlefield wearing nothing but a metal bikini, but they've never kissed a boy before and turn into a puddle of mush when the dork of a protagonist talks to them. Now, these are exaggerations, but real characters in line with each of those tropes do exist, and they definitely paint a pretty awful standard for women. Yet, they come from waifu culture and that strong focus on male fantasy. In order to be profitable, some female characters in these shows will just be made to fit certain tropes, just the same way that some of them are designed to be physically attractive. And often, even when a character breaks the mold, they're still confined to fantasy archetypes. If they're not submissive, they're a tsundere. If they're not typically feminine, they're a tomboy. If they're a strong personality, it's because they grew up around 15 brothers and the author wrote them as a male character in a female's body. The tropes dominate the conception of a lot of characters, even those that are otherwise pretty well written. And that conception shines a lot of light on the situation when you consider the people behind it. The creator of Naruto, Masashi Kishimoto, has self-admitted to being bad at writing women, and the girls in Naruto are constantly ridiculed for having a lack of agency and having too much focus put on their crushes on the male leads. Sakura is useless is literally one of the biggest memes in the anime community. The director of Persona and Catherine, Katsura Hashino, once said in an interview, "I've never successfully forged a true friendship with a girl in real life." Which is just insane. The Persona series is about forging friendships with other characters. Catherine is about the protagonist's relationship with women, and the director just has no personal experience. Even Chainsaw Man, which has some of my favorite women in anime, has them written to be the author's type. Makima is a commanding character explicitly because Tatsuki Fujimoto had his bike stolen in college by a girl and thought it was hot. That's not a joke. That's a real story. His female characters are so strong because he has a thing for dominant women. So you have characters written for male fantasy because of the industry's hyperfixation with waifus, and then you have these characters being written by people who self-admit to being bad with women. Now I'll give Chainsaw Man and Persona a pass because I genuinely like them, but at its worst, this can all end up mixing together into the worst cocktail of harmful stereotypes and offensive writing. You know, I love Demon Slayer. It's the biggest anime in the world right now. It's massively popular and appeals—
What the fuck it is? That's what Chainsaw Man's for. I know My Hero Academia is really big right now. I know Mob Psycho 100 is really big right now. But we all know it ain't Demon Slayer. Its season come and went. It'll probably come back around next year, or maybe the year after that.
To a wide array of people. Yet the main female lead is literally a pet to the protagonist. That's kinda weird. I mean, you could replace Nezuko with a pit bull and it wouldn't change anything about the show, other than the fact that Zenitsu would now be constantly harassing a dog. Alright, well what about one of my other favorite shows, Death Note? It's a fantastic drama with some of the coolest and smartest characters in fiction. Probably one of the easiest recommendations to someone new to anime. And yet every female in it is written like the creator hates them. They are all either desperately in love with Light to the point that they can't form a thought that isn't about him, or they get taken advantage of because Light is smarter and cooler than them, which is really kinda awful when you think about it. Now, Demon Slayer is amazing. The first 25 episodes of Death Note are fantastic, and I'd very much like for more people to watch and enjoy these shows, but the writing of female characters can actively hurt that. Even if you don't care about the depiction of women, these characters are just not as strong and interesting as they could be, and that comes from this focus on male fantasy over everything else. Which leads to the most common counter-argument you'll hear. These shows are made for a target demographic, and if you don't like them, they're not made for you. But oftentimes the only thing keeping people outside that demographic from enjoying the show is the focus on the demographic. Like if Death Note wasn't so obviously a power fantasy for edgy 15-year-olds, it would be enjoyable to more people. Now you could say that better written female characters might hurt the enjoyment of the show for those edgy 15-year-olds, but I would argue that if you can't appeal to male fantasy without being straight up sexist, then you shouldn't even try. And in general, I think anyone should be able to enjoy a show with an appealing waifu character or male fantasy element without the fantasy appealing to them and not have the show then be ruined by it. Because there are tons of people out there watching anime who don't care for a lot of these waifu archetypes or aren't attracted to anime girls at all. And these shows are just a worse experience for them when they don't have to be. I get that there's target audiences, but you can write waifus that are also good representations for women. It's not mutually exclusive. Do you know how hot the cast of Jujutsu Kaisen is? Yet most writers just don't care enough to try because they can be successful without having to. Or they're Kishimoto and probably shouldn't be writing women at all if they admit they're so bad at it. Now, the assumed problem lots of people have with these harmful depictions is that they cause misogyny. I mean, the whole of anime gets accused of this by a lot of people. And when you see something like Death Note, you can't help but see their point. But I don't necessarily agree. I myself grew up in a time where video games were being accused of causing violence, and that argument, while similarly sensical, was proven objectively false, with no correlation being found between the two and violent video games still being made. So I think the anime and misogyny argument is much the same. However, in the most extreme cases, what these fantasies do is act like a safe haven for those who already have pretty poor views in real life. Anime might not cause these harmful thoughts, but you'll often see that people with already unsavory views love certain kinds of anime. Whether it's Reddit threads or YouTube comments or video essays on feminism bad, I'm sure plenty of you have seen the arguments from some of these people that go along the lines of real women need to act more like anime girls, or Western women need to act more like Japanese women, which is the same argument because their entire view of Japan is from anime. And these people are the problem, not the media they consume. But it's important to note that the waifu fantasy does appeal to them, which is still not good. It's hard to consider yourself a fan of a medium that appeals to harmful people. Now, this last problem, as you might suspect, is pretty serious. It's dealing with possibly the worst issue in the anime.
I don't know what this.
Now, this last problem, as you might suspect, is pretty serious. It's dealing with possibly the worst issue in the anime community. One so bad that I'm not sure YouTube even lets me say the word. Or at least not as much as I'm about to say it. So just to be safe, I will be coming up with an alternative. This segment of the video is about Lemonade. You know, the genre of anime starring lemons? If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's probably for the best. Now, I will try to be sensitive of this issue, and I don't get too deep into it or talk about anything that bad, but if hearing about it still upsets you, feel free to skip to the timecode on screen. And the discussion of Lemonade is a very complicated one. It becomes especially complicated when you learn I've been lying to you about the history of waifus up until now. You see, Lemonade as we in the West know it came from Vladimir Nabokov's Lemonida, a book about an adult man and a 12-year-old girl. This then spawned the term Lemonida complex to describe people like that adult man, and lemonade became a shortening of that, with obviously very negative connotations. However, I think it's important to note right off the bat that while it does still get into questionable content, the word as it was adopted by Japan is completely different from how we understand it, and has a rather positive connotation referring to cuteness and innocence. For example, Lemonida fashion in Japan just refers to people dressing up in frilly dresses and gothic clothing, and has so little to do with Nabokov's book that many Lemonida idols were disgusted and offended to learn what it was about. Though the loose beginnings of the culture in anime actually began with shoujo manga, where cute and innocent girls were already being depicted in softer artistic styles. And as we know, in the 60s and 70s, more people, especially men, began reading shoujo. So with them came more adult depictions of these youthful and cute characters, which slowly reached a turning point in popularity. And the person who heralded this turning point was none other than Hideo Azuma, the person who started the Bishoujo boom. I didn't mention it before, but his official title is the father of Lemonade, and his most notable work was an adult parody of Little Red Riding Hood in a comic called Cybele. where he took the rounded bodies of Osamu Tezuka and put them into adult situations. Meaning before the Bashoujo boom ever started, what he actually brought into pop culture was the Lemonade boom. Lemonade manga, like a lot of anime, started with fan works or doujinshi, and it actually played a massive role in attracting male fans to Comiket, the Japanese doujinshi market. Comiket's first run in 1975 had an attendance rate of 90% women, but by 1981 the number of male and female participants were equal. Lemonade, created by and for men at these markets, served as a response to the female-dominated yaoi, and one of the first characters to grow popular in fan works shared in these markets was Clarice from Hayao Miyazaki's Castle of Cagliostro, who was so popular that early lemon doujinshi were originally called Clarice magazines. The genre then grew in popularity until several official Lemonade magazines started to be produced, including Lemon People, which actually refers to lemons, like it actually uses the word lemon. I didn't change that. And Manga Bariko, the magazine responsible for coining the term otaku in 1983, used it to refer to fans of Bashoujo and Hideo Azuma's lemon manga. One of the most recognized artists of this new era was Aki Uchiyama, known as the King of Lemonade, as he produced 160 pages of manga a month for these magazines. Uchiyama was actually so prolific that his work was published alongside mainstream series in the magazine Shonen Champion, which you might recognize as the magazine that debuted Baki the Grappler, Cutie Honey, and Beastars. However, the most notable work of Uchiyama was actually the world's first anime called Lemonita Anime in 1984. And the world's first Lemonade video game named Lemonita Syndrome was produced by none other than Enix in 1983. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because in 2003 Enix merged with another company called Square to form Square Enix, the now famous creators of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. Though after 1984 and all the way up until 1989, Lemonade saw a slow descent in popularity. The focus was never put directly on the attraction to these characters, but rather the style they represented. And so in order to expand this style, Moe and Bashoujo adopted a lot of the traits and aesthetics of Lemonade and continued to push the culture of cute, except now to a much broader appeal. This then resulted in the actual Bashoujo boom, which would later carry on with Sailor Moon and Evangelion, and you already know the rest. From all this, I hope that I don't understate just how important Lemonade was to the development of Bashoujo, Moe, and the entirety of anime culture, because without it, everything from Gainax to Studio Ghibli would not exist as they do. Gainax's first work, with Daikon 3, starred a lemon character. Hayao Miyazaki's entire style was taken from the same shoujo that inspired Hideo Azuma, and his early success was partly due to the fans of Lemonade, though he's been on the record multiple times to state just how much he hates them. But suffice to say, the history of anime would be completely different without Lemonade. I mean, even Square Enix has it firmly planted in their catalog. Though the downfall of the term and the rise of its negative connotation in Japan came in 1989, when a man by the name of Stomo Miyazaki kidnapped and did things I don't feel comfortable talking about to 4 girls under the age of 7. Miyazaki was actually referred to as the otaku because widespread photos of his room were circulated, which found them to be full of VHS tapes and tons of manga, including Lemonade and shoujo magazines. And when faced with sentencing, he pled insanity, with his defense at the time saying he had been unable to distinguish between fiction and reality. Now, going into the 80s, and even since then, Japan has had a very low crime rate, so something as awful as what Miyazaki did hit national headlines and caused a massive moral panic, especially around manga and Lemonade. However, after the panic of Stomo Miyazaki died down, Moe found itself in the mainstream, and with it carrying over the defining aspects of Lemonade, you can bet that the culture has had a resurgence. Anime today has tons of lemon characters, whether it's 9,000-year-old dragons or just adult characters drawn to be 2 feet tall. The influence of the Lemonade boom is still felt today.
That'd just be how dwarves be, though. They're just short people.
And there are many fans of the genre still around. Lemonade has just ingrained itself in anime culture right alongside moe and waifus. In fact, the word waifu itself even has roots in Lemonade. This character is named Mr. Kimura, and he is described by Wikipedia as a creepy and ephemophiliac classical Japanese teacher who openly admits he became a teacher to be closer to high school girls. So when the girls find a photo of a beautiful woman who he calls my waifu, they can't believe this creep would be married to someone like that. Yes, the term waifu was popularized by a pervert character who likes lemons. Isn't that interesting? Though, before we continue, I should clarify that there is a big difference to me between anime with young characters, anime with lemon characters, and the problem I have with Lemonade. Because for the most part, anime characters are made to be young to appeal to a teenage audience. That's pretty much it. The audience is 17, so the characters have to be 17. Which is why almost every anime has the whole cast in high school, even though they might be a superhero or gang member or internationally hunted serial killer. Numerical ages in anime just mean nothing, because even if the creators write and draw someone as an adult, they have to be made a teenager to be published in a shonen manga. So my rule of thumb has always been that if the show treats the characters like adults, they are just adults to me, and can be put into adult situations, even if the numerical age would suggest otherwise. This might be a controversial opinion to have, and I understand if you don't agree, but
I think it's a fair opinion to have and a good viewpoint.
it's the way I think about things, and it makes enjoying anime much easier. For example, in my fan service video, I talked about Tamaki and how much fan service she has, and someone left a comment talking about how creepy they thought the show was because Tamaki was 17. My genuine reaction to that information was to look up her age because I thought she was like 20. Tamaki in the anime has already graduated school, she is a full-time firefighter alongside adult coworkers, and the show doesn't bring up her age at all. By all means, she is written and treated like a 20-year-old character, and so when she's put into lewd situations, I have no problem with that. Then looking at lemon characters in a lot of regular anime, they're almost always an overlap with moe culture. I mean, moe and Bishoujo basically assimilated all the aspects of Lemonade in the late 80s. So attention is drawn to how young these lemon characters are, usually just from their childlike designs, but explicitly for the purpose of making them cute. And that's it. You know, look at any of the Kyoto Animation shows I mentioned. Almost all of them are focused on young schoolgirls, almost all of them have lemon characters, and yet all of them are just cute girls doing cute things. I have no issue with the use of lemons in this way, and a lot of anime includes lemon characters like this. Even Azumanga Daioh, which has a pervert teacher character, is a comedy anime. Mr. Kimura is a
Stream is almost over, Connor. Do not worry. I think I have COVID. Well, don't have COVID. I hope you. I've never had COVID. I'm just healthy.
Joke. His entire character exists to be made fun of, including the scene where the girls laugh at the idea of him having a wife. So even though the show acknowledges Lemonade culture with a character like him, it's making fun of him and not endorsing his point of view. So the vast majority of anime, though there are lemon characters and tons of teenagers, uses them in ways like I just described, which I don't find to be bad at all. It's only really the most extreme subculture of Lemonade and the audience of that most people have a problem with. That problem obviously being where a character looks like a child, acts like a child, and is by all means supposed to be a child, 9 years old or 9,000, it doesn't matter, and they're put into lewd or otherwise adult situations. How this affects regular anime, to me, is a continuation of the last problem. Lemonade like this is basically unrealistic depictions of women taken to the extreme. So all my points there apply here too. If you're not into the fantasy, which a good amount of people aren't, lemon characters used in this way are distracting at best and downright hard to watch at worst. It makes things uncomfortable, is very offensive and harmful to a lot of people, and doesn't have any purpose in making the show better. Now, obviously the larger issue of Lemonade people have tends
Kana, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter. Like that fucking button. I know you like it. Hit that like button with your tongue. I don't think many people have done that. Actually, probably don't. You don't want to spread COVID.
to spread out into the legality or morality of the subject, which starts to get extremely complicated extremely fast. So I'll let people smarter than me touch on that because I don't really want to go anywhere near it. So
share it around though. Share the video, or the stream, not the COVID. No.
That's about all I have to say on the subject. I mostly just wanted to include the history of Lemonade because it is very closely related to the history of waifus, and to not address the issues with it would be a disservice. Again, most of Lemonade culture is completely fine with me, except for the very worst parts of it, which give all of anime a bad name. However, with that being said,
take some Tylenol, that's what I did earlier. It was great.
I'd still like nothing more than to wrap up this segment and never speak of it again. So let's do that. Waifus are an incredibly fascinating and somewhat misunderstood topic. They are intertwined with the very history of anime, and they are ingrained into every facet of the medium. The culture surrounding them has massively influenced Japanese society, which has in turn affected media around the world, which is even more surprising considering how few people know the full story. So hopefully, after watching this far into the video, you understand what a waifu is. I mean, I'd have hoped you'd have learned that by now, otherwise I am terrible at my job. Hopefully you also understand the history of waifus and the most critical points in their development, and hopefully you can understand the psychology of waifus, why someone would have one, and the possible problems that can come with. If anything, I want to clarify that having feelings for a fictional character isn't a bad thing. It can be very healthy for people, and in the anime community, it has been going on since before it even expanded to the West, with little issue. And now that culture has seeped into the very way we consume media in the modern age. Everything from K-pop stans to celebrity culture to online content creators can be seen through the lens of waifuism, developing feelings for those we don't directly interact with. But at the same time, understanding this culture and its effects are important to discussing its problems, whether it's the way that creators can exploit their audience or the way that the audience can end up falling into unhealthy patterns of consumption, or just the way that a lot of anime and manga can end up with less than stellar writing and characters due to the massive fixation on fantasy. All of these issues don't define waifuism, but they are certainly a part of it. And while I make no claims to solve any of them, I did want to at least address them, educate people on them, and hopefully start a discussion about them. Because most people are aware of these problems through the stigma surrounding waifus. A lot of people have unwarranted negative feelings towards the entire culture, which I don't think are helpful. And the discussion of the topic can trend very one-sided. So hopefully having a deeper understanding of all this can actually lead to people talking about these issues and trying to solve them, rather than just lumping together all of waifu culture as an inherently bad thing. After all, who doesn't like anime girls? So first I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who watched this far into the video. This project took me way too long to make and came with more technical issues than I can count. I've had to re-record this video twice now. But I've finally gotten it out there and shared a topic that I've been thinking about for a long time, so hopefully you enjoyed it. That being said, big shout out to Patrick W. Galbraith and Hiroki Azuma, whose books on the subject I've been quoting this entire time. I've linked everything of theirs I found in the description, as well as a bunch of other stuff I read. It is all fascinating. And finally, thank you to the people who have supported my channel, whose names you can see scrolling up the side of the screen. If you'd like to join them, or if you want to watch uncensored and extended editions of my videos, you can do that on my Patreon. It is pay whatever you...
Oh, he's still not even 100,000 yet? Damn. Alright. Alright, that is going to be it for tonight. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy the fireworks and have a happy new year. Till next time, this has been Arkin. Peace. Gotta hit that end stream button. Bye.